Chapter 159. F*CKF*CKF*CK Gu Lingqing did it on purpose. He knew where she was. What else could he do? He even tested her on purpose. However, she fell into his trap, so she was annoyed. She was like a clown, but he was the one who wanted to see her make a fool of herself. She couldn't escape at all, so she could only follow Lieutenant Colonel Song to the car. Lieutenant Colonel Song drove. How did Gu Lingqing know I was here? Baya asked in confusion. Nowadays, phones have GPS. With just a word from the chief, your location will be sent to the chief's phone within a few seconds, Lieutenant Colonel Song explained. When did you arrive at the hall? Baya asked. Not long ago, Lieutenant Colonel Song said simply, but you didn't pick up the chief's call on purpose. How can I not report this? Just say that I didn't see it, Baya said. Lieutenant Colonel Song was expressionless. According to the chief's principles, not reporting what you know is a big crime. So, you reported it. Baya had a bad feeling. When you put away your phone, I already reported it in real time. Lieutenant Colonel Song didn't hide it. Baya knocked her forehead on the back of the seat. Gu Lingqing must be furious. He must be so furious that he was about to explode. She looked out of the window in annoyance and sighed. She still felt annoyed. Lieutenant Colonel Song looked at Baya and said in a deep voice, "The chief is very busy. I advise you not to make him angry." I already did. Do you have any good ideas? Baya asked. Lieutenant Colonel Song was silent for a while. I've been with the chief for 3 years and this is the first time I've seen him like a woman. He doesn't like me. He wants to know about the past, Baya retorted. Why can't he know about his past? Lieutenant Colonel Song's tone became colder. Baya's eyes darkened. He could know about his past, but what if these things didn't help him at all? If her feelings were blank, it would be blank. Even if it wasn't blank, all that was left was pain. The cut on her little finger started to hurt again. She didn't say anything else. She calmed herself down and calmed down, sinking into a boundless desolation. An hour later, Baya was sent to the blue sky courtyard. Gu Lingqing sat on the sofa in a bad mood. He tightened his jaw and puffed on his cigarette. The thick smoke blurred his grave and stern face, making it even more difficult for people to see his expression at this moment. Baya walked in, and the door closed behind her with a bang. It was like a blow to her heart. She walked towards Gu Lingqing and sat down opposite him. Who allowed you to sit? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Baya frowned and stood up. Why didn't you pick up the phone? Gu Lingqing questioned. His eyes were extremely cold. Baya was also annoyed by his domineering attitude. Why do you think I should accept it? I'm not your subordinate, nor am I your wife. I'm not someone you can order around. Gu Lingqing stood up and Baya stepped back subconsciously. Gu Lingqing held her chin. Just because you lied to me, I can ask you anything I want. Baya pushed Gu Lingqing's hand away. Why did I lie to you? The reason why we broke up or the reason why my finger was chopped off? Yes, you loved me very much at that time, but so what? Now that you've forgotten everything, am I not allowed to come out from this shadow? Gu Lingqing looked at her with his dark eyes, and his chest was heaving up and down violently. Apart from these, what else? What else do you want to know? Baya looked straight at him. Gu Lingqing's chin was clenched. She had done something wrong, so where did she get the confidence to be rational and strong? Flames danced in his eyes, burning away all the remaining warmth, and they became dark and cold. You're not my type. You're arrogant and dark. Too much arrogance is annoying. You don't know how to be tactful, and you're not easy to get along with. I'm very surprised. How could I like you like that? Gu Lingqing said sharply. His every word and every sentence was like a sharp knife stabbing into her heart, revealing some truths that she didn't want to admit or believe. Back then, Gu Lingqing had provoked her not because he liked her, but because he felt guilty. He was such a responsible person. He felt that it was all his fault for forcing her to live a bad life. So, he wanted to save her and make it up to her, even sacrificing his marriage and happiness. So, when he was hurt, he selectively lost his memory about his past with her. Why did he remember Zhou Hailan and forget her? This was also a portrayal of his heart. He didn't want to cry, and he didn't want to get hurt again. But he thought too thoroughly, and his heart was too cold. The heat flowed out of his body along with his tears. Maybe you don't like me that much, Gu Lingqing. Let bygones be bygones. You have a bright future ahead of you. Even if you don't get together with Su Shaoling, you can still find a girl you like. Let me go, let yourself go, Baiya said with tears streaming down her face. Her tears made his heart very uncomfortable, as if there was something pulling at him, making his heart ache. He was too angry just now, so he leaned over and kissed her lips. Baiya subconsciously rejected him and turned her face away. A cold light flashed across his eyes, and he pressed the back of her head, intensifying the kiss. Strong, domineering, and not letting her back down. Baiya was instantly annoyed and pushed him hard. 3 years ago, he had forced her heart like this, and the result? Despair, suicide. She didn't want to do it again. She didn't want to fall in love with Gu Lingqing again. She slapped his face. The sound of the slap was exceptionally loud. Gu Lingqing stared at her, and the corner of his lips curled up coldly. Like a ferocious beast, he pounced on her and tore her clothes. Ah! Baiya struggled like crazy. Gu Lingqing held her wrist and pressed it on top of her head, while his other hand tore her pants. Baiya didn't like Gu Lingqing. She really didn't like such a cold-blooded person. When he tore her pants, she heard the voice of despair in her heart again. She said angrily, "Do you have to force me to my death?" Gu Lingqing looked down at her with a sharp gaze. "Why not? What kind of woman am I in the eyes of the chief? As long as a man comes, will I open my mouth and let you have sex with me?" Baiya asked. "I thought we had an agreement," Gu Lingqing said coldly. "Use your power to force me? Or force me?" Baiya said sarcastically. "Didn't you say it was comfortable?" Gu Lingqing furrowed his brows. Baiya turned her face away. Her mind was in a mess, so much so that she couldn't calm down and think. Gu Lingqing's gaze softened. "Don't move. I'll be gentler." "Why do you have to do it with me?" Baiya asked in confusion. "Didn't you say that I'm not your type? Why do you have to hold on to your past mistakes?" "Because I feel comfortable too." Chapter 160. This reason really made him want to vomit blood. You can find any woman who can make you feel comfortable. Baiya frowned. He didn't like it when she pushed him to others. He couldn't tell why, but there was a flash of light in his eyes. "I'm looking for you." He was domineering. She couldn't do anything about it. He kissed her lips and entered her mouth forcefully. His big palm went under the hem of her clothes. Her skin was cold, and there was a hint of coldness. Pity flowed in his heart. Was this woman not in good health? So cold. He subconsciously used the warmth of his palm to warm her blood. He wasn't as rough as he was at the beginning. He kissed her lips downwards, undid the button on her back, and lifted her clothes. He lowered his head. Baiya let out a soft moan as he kissed her. The temperature of his mouth was very high, but it made her feel very comfortable, as if her blood was flowing and her bodily functions were recovering. She vaguely found a little shadow of the past Gu Lingqing on him at this moment. Her eyes were stained with mist, and there was a little more emotion in them. Gu Lingqing first tested her to make sure that she could do it, then he slowly. Baiya saw that he didn't seem to be using birth control products, so she hurriedly reminded him, "I'm not in my safe period." Gu Lingqing responded with a deep voice, and looked at her with his deep eyes. Baiya wasn't unrestrained. On the contrary, she was very shy, and even her breathing was suppressed and light. But when she opened her mouth, frowned and looked like ripples, he felt that she was very beautiful. He wanted to see the changes in her expression under different rhythms, so he sat on the sofa. Her gaze was too focused, as if she wanted to absorb him into her eyes. Baiya was too embarrassed to look at him. She lay on his shoulder, and her breath fell on his ear. His heart moved, and he held her chin with his thumb and forefinger, making her face him. Her gaze was very unfocused, as if shrouded in a mysterious veil. Her face was red, and she was charming. "We used to be like this, right?" Gu Lingqing asked in a hoarse voice. Baiya didn't want to be completely controlled by him, so she held his chin and kissed his lips. His lips were also very hot, like the sun, emitting hot blood. In the past, in order to keep warm, She kept getting closer and closer until she was reborn. This time, she could not be greedy. After a while, Baya let go. However, Gu Lingqing was not satisfied. He pressed the back of her neck and continued to kiss her. He kissed her until he couldn't control his rationality anymore. He turned the tables and wanted her violently. He went to the bathroom to take a shower while Baya rested on the sofa. However, she felt that it was too insecure every time he came out. What if there was another Xiao Bao's treasure? She couldn't afford any more mistakes in her life. She has to go to the hospital tomorrow to get in for. Her phone rang. It was Lu Shuang. She picked it up when she got up and went to her room to take a shower. Little White. Where are you? I went backstage to cultivate my relationship with the boyfriend I just met. When I came out, you weren't there. Lu Shuang looked around and said, I have something to do, so I have to go now. Did your blind date go well? Baya filled the bathtub with hot water. Not bad. I picked one for me and I think he's not bad. I got to know him a little, so let's talk about dating in the future. I'll bring him out tomorrow and you can give me some advice, Lu Shuang said in a good mood. I'll take a shower first. I'll contact you tomorrow. Baya hung up the phone and lay in the bathtub. The warm water flowed through her body, relieving the pain in her muscles. She was a little sleepy and closed her eyes. In a daze, she heard Gu Lingqing's voice. Did you fall asleep in the bathtub out of habit? Baya opened her eyes and didn't answer him. Gu Lingqing passed the towel to her. You have a cold body and it's not good for your body to soak in cold water for a long time. You're still young and can't feel it, but when you get older, you'll be full of illnesses. Weren't you a doctor? Don't you know this? Baya took the towel from his hand and wrapped it around her body. She got out of the bathtub and replied, You know a lot about women. It's basic knowledge. My mother pays attention to her health, so I know a thing or two. Gu Lingqing added the last two sentences. He didn't know why, but he didn't want her to misunderstand his relationship with other women. Baya's heart skipped a beat. There was a ripple in her heart. She cleared her throat and deliberately ignored him. She changed the topic and asked, Have you eaten yet? What do you think? Gu Lingqing asked back. His eyes were dark and it was obvious that he was suppressing his anger. Baya didn't expect that he had been waiting for her. I'll heat it up for you. Someone's hot. You can just accompany me to eat. Gu Lingqing walked towards her. I've already eaten. Baya rejected him. He hugged her waist and looked down at her. If I ask you to accompany me, then accompany me. It can be a midnight snack after you've eaten. You're too skinny. You don't have any meat at all. Didn't you say that I feel comfortable? Baya threw out his words to deliberately block him. I said that I feel comfortable in my heart, Gu Lingqing replied casually. After saying that, he paused for a moment. Feeling comfortable in his heart meant that he was treating her with his heart and not his kidneys. Baya could tell that too. She was a little flustered. She felt that his hand on her waist was abnormally hot. She took his hand away. I'm going to change. Gu Lingqing didn't go out. Baya took the clothes and looked at him. What are you looking at? Go change, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. Baya nodded and glanced at the door. You go out. Gu Lingqing crossed his arms in front of his chest and leaned against the doorframe. His eyes were dark, and because his expression was serious, his words were also serious. Which part of your body haven't I seen or touched? Tell me, and I'll fill them all in. Baya was angry, but she laughed instead. When did General become a rascal? Baya was speechless. She turned her back to him and untied the towel. Gu Lingqing walked behind her and brushed her hair to the right side of her face. The hair brushed past her back and fell softly on her shoulder. It was a little ticklish. Baya looked up at him. He looked at her with a deep gaze and asked very seriously, Have I never been a rascal to you in the past? Baya didn't dare to recall the past. She retracted her gaze and neatly put on the clothes inside. The present is so beautiful, and the future is even better. Don't always be trapped in the past. There are some things that others can't forget even if they want to. General is very lucky. She kept calling him General, which made him feel uncomfortable. Change the way you address me. What did you call me in the past? Brother Qing? Baya felt that the current Gu Lingqing was quite self-righteous. Gu Lingqing. He was not satisfied with this form of address. Call me by my full name? Call me Brother Qing. Call me Brother Qing and you'll have meat to eat. Gu Lingqing lifted her chin and made her face him. Call me that. Baya was thin-skinned. She pushed his hand away. I don't like to eat meat. Baya, why are you back? Baya bit the document in her hand. I came to get a ring. I came to see who was on duty. Hee. Oh, I'll write a list for you first so that you don't have to wait. I heard that you became a prosecutor later. Why are you so courageous? You gave up being a deputy director and became a prosecutor who is not a professional at all. In the hospital, you are the only one I admire, Sister Ing said with a smile and wrote the list. She wrote the document and passed it to Baya. I didn't become a prosecutor after that. I only did it for half a year before I went abroad to further my studies. I'm a psychologist now and I'm currently working in a research institute. Maybe I'll open a clinic later. Baya exchanged simple pleasantries and took the document from Sister Ing. I really admire you. Now, you're a psychologist. It's the most popular profession now. You earn a lot and it's easy. We're working hard in the hospital now. We often have to work overtime and we have to get complaints often. It's really stressful. Not long ago, there was an incident of a doctor being hacked at the secondary hospital. I even know that doctor. I'm so depressed. I'm about to enter menopause, Sister Ing complained. Sister Ing, you're so beautiful and kind-hearted. If you enter menopause, how are we going to live? Baya said with a smile. All right, don't comfort an old woman like me. I still have some work to do. When we're free, let's have a gathering. Yeah, it's my treat. Oh yeah, Sister Ing, what happened to that girl just now? She didn't look too good. Baya probed. She's having a messy private life. Other than common gynecological diseases, she also has syphilis. It's already in the second stage. It's quite serious, Sister Ing said. Baya frowned and her face turned pale. Su Xiaoling was Gu Lingqing's fiancée and she had a relationship with Gu Lingqing. She had a bad feeling. Sister Ing, give me another document. I'll check it too. What's wrong? Sister Ing widened her eyes and looked at Baya. Baya smiled. There's nothing wrong with checking more. An hour and a half later, Baya put on the birth control ring and got all the reports. She was normal and healthy. In the future, it would be safer to be with Gu Lingqing so that she wouldn't be infected. Was Gu Lingqing infected now? Or did Gu Lingqing infect Su Xiaoling? No, Gu Lingqing had always been clean. If he only had Su Xiaoling, he wouldn't have gotten this disease. Could it be that Gu Lingqing had other women? Or Su Xiaoling had another man? Baya called back to the research institute in a daze. The more she thought about it, the more scared she was. Gu Lingqing liked to force himself on her but he didn't like to wear it. She wanted to refuse but she couldn't resist. For safety's sake. She sent a message to Gu Lingqing to remind him. Remember to wear it no matter what, or you'll get sick. Gu Lingqing replied very quickly. Are you sick? Baya was furious when she saw this. You're the one who's sick. I suggest you get it checked first. Just as she sent the message, Gu Lingqing called. What do you mean? His voice was sinister and he showed off his bad temper. It was as if he would kill her if she said anything wrong. Well, I just came out of the hospital. The tests are all good, Baya said. That's good. Gu Lingqing complimented her out of the blue. Baya was a little uneasy. It was as if she was asking for praise. I've seen a lot of women suffering from various diseases. People nowadays are easily impetuous and tempted by too many temptations. It's better to be careful when you're in a high position, Baya said tactfully. Gu Lingqing heard the hint in her words. He was in a good mood a second ago but the next second, anger filled his eyes. As long as you're not sick, I won't be sick. That's all. He hung up the phone coldly. As long as she wasn't sick, he wouldn't be sick. Was he provoking her, cursing her or? Baya's heart raced. Was he hinting that she was his only woman? Chapter 162. At the entrance of the research institute, Bai Ya was still deep in thought. If Gu Lingqing only had one woman, why did Su Xiaoling get a gynecological disease and even contract syphilis? Did she have another man? Pretty lady, you're here, the driver shouted. Bai Ya came back to her senses and said, "Oh." She glanced at the meter, paid the fare, and got out of the car. What kind of nonsense was she thinking? Even if Su Xiaoling had another man, what did it have to do with her? However, 3 years had really changed a lot of people. Things remained the same, but people had changed. Bai Ya walked into the research institute and saw Mu Xiaoxing throwing a tantrum. How did you guys graduate? When there's nothing going on, you guys brag like gods, but when there's trouble, no one dares to accept it. Didn't our research institute have an authoritative figure in the industry? This matter can only be handled by an authoritative figure, someone said. Why do I need you guys to handle everything? Why don't you guys go back and eat yourselves? Mu Xiaoxing said angrily. Bai Ya walked to the door of the conference room and knocked gracefully. Mu Xiaoxing looked at Bai Ya with a troubled expression. He wanted to say something but stopped. Bai Ya smiled and said, "Say it, I'll take it." Mu Xiaoxing seemed to be holding on to a life-saving straw. At this time, only you can save me from this crisis. Come to my office. Mu Xiaoxing walked out of the conference room and returned to his office. He threw some photos to Bai Ya. Bai Ya saw that it was a European-style castle, a miniature version. It was built with bricks that were no longer used. The castle was surrounded by creepers. Because of the age, the plants grew wildly, making the castle look a little strange. In the second photo, a tall man died in the room. His body was curled up. His fingers were clenched very tightly, and his expression was twisted with pain. This man is Xiong Jinping, the younger brother of Xiong Daini. He is now the mayor of Pingyan City. He died in this castle. He was killed in a secret room. There were no wounds on his body. After the autopsy, we found that his brain was congested. He died of fear. There were no toxins in his body. Mu Xiaoxing explained. Bai Ya looked at the third photo. It was also a man who had died in a room. He was lying on the ground, clutching his own neck. His eyes were bloodshot, and his death was horrifying. This person's name is Xiong Jiqing, Lieutenant Colonel, an instructor in the Special Military Region. It looks like he strangled himself, but in fact, he died of fear. Both of them died yesterday. Now, the higher-ups want a verdict within a week. My research institute has no choice but to accept it, Mu Xiaoxing said helplessly. Bai Ya understood. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. The higher the reputation, the more important face is. Bearing the glory comes with pressure. Your research institute is one of the top in the country. It should be able to bear the pressure. Don't be sarcastic. I'll leave this matter to you. I'll pay all the expenses for the business trip. You can stay in the presidential suite as you like. I'll give you a subsidy of 1,000 yuan a day for your hard work. As long as you can solve the case, I'll definitely pay for it. Mu Xiaoxing said kindly. Am I going with the people from the police station now? Bai Ya asked. The police station is taking this very seriously. They've hired an expert with a high salary. His name is Lung Qiuzuan. His nickname is the Lord. He'll bring an assistant with him. In addition, there will be 2 police officers accompanying him. There will be a total of 5 of you. The Lord will be the team leader. Lang Qiuzuan? I've heard of him. He's very famous. He's low-key. Other than solving cases, he's almost isolated from the outside world. It's great to have the opportunity to meet the legendary god, Bai Ya said with a smile. Maybe you're a goddess in his heart. Your international reputation is no less than his, Mu Xiaoxing complimented. Bai Ya didn't say anything else. She went back to pack her luggage and went to the police station. She didn't tell Gu Lingqing that she was going on a business trip. When a general is outside, he doesn't obey military orders. However, she had to inform Lu Shuang. Girl, I'm going on a business trip. We can't meet for the time being. Ah, you're so busy with work. You have to go on a business trip as soon as you come back. That Mu Xiaoxing is too harsh, Lu Shuang complained. It's good that the mission is completed. I'll contact you when I come back, Bai Ya said apologetically. Well, by the way, I want to tell you something. Something happened in our military region last night. An officer was killed. At the same time, another officer died in the faraway Pingyan city. The key is that the one who died in Pingyan city didn't have a vacation. He went out without permission, disobeying the emperor's order. The chief is very angry. After all, murder in the special military region is not a trivial matter. It means that there's a problem with the security system. If a spy sneaks in, it's not a trivial matter. Anyway, it's a very serious matter. It even happened when the chief is electing the president. Now this news is temporarily blocked. These few days, I have to behave with my tail between my legs. I can't talk to you anymore. I have to do something first. Lu Shuang hung up the phone. Baya put away her phone. No wonder Gu Lingqing left with a serious expression last night. Could Xiong Jiqing's death be related to the person who died in the military region? If she could find out, it could be considered as indirectly helping Gu Lingqing. She went back to pack her luggage and went to the police station. Lang Qiuzuan was already in the car. She was the last one to arrive. Baya got on the police bus and saw the legendary Lang Qiuzuan. He looked about 35 years old. He was wearing a black trench coat. He was tall and thin and wore a hat. He had a triangular face and a sharp single eyelid. He looked very fierce. There was a needless sharpness in his eyes. When he looked at people, he was full of lethality. He was a handsome man. He was not easy to get along with. This was Baya's judgment. Therefore, she didn't take the initiative to greet him and sat in her seat. Baya! Lang Qiuzuan called her first. His voice was especially deep and it was very recognizable. Baya glanced at Lang Qiuzuan and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. Mr. Lang just came from the airport. He was in a hurry when he left and was hit by a little girl who was drinking milk tea. The little girl's mother was very angry. She thought that you were a strange uncle and even said that she would bring you to the police station. When you got angry, you brought the mother and the little girl to the police station together. Lang Qiuzuan pursed his lips and didn't say a word. He fixed his gaze on Baya, his eyes shining with a gloomy light. Lang Qiuzuan's assistant was very surprised. How did you know? I saw the label on Mr. Lang's luggage when I was putting it in. The flight to City A at 11 a.m. It's only 12:30 a.m. now. It'll take an hour to get here from the airport. This means that you were in a hurry. As a result, there are some milk stains on your clothes. At this height, it should be a little girl. When I came here, a middle-aged woman was walking away with a little girl. She was cursing and saying that he was a pervert. He didn't have to rush for a flight. I got in the car and saw that there was still hostility in Mr. Lang's eyes. Baya explained. Are you deliberately showing off? Lang Qiuzuan said bluntly. Baya wasn't angry at all. When you called me, there was doubt in your eyes. You wanted to know what I'm capable of. I'm just following your wishes, aren't I? Lang Qiuzuan didn't say anything. Baya's phone rang. She saw that it was a text message from Gu Lingqing. He said concisely, GXXX, getting coach 12. I'm here. Chapter 163. GXXX, get into coach 12, I'm here. While they were in the car, Baya kept thinking about this sentence in her mind. Did Gu Lingqing know that she was going to Pingyan City? Ms. Bai, Ms. Bai. Lang Qiuzuan's assistant nudged Baya. Baya came back to her senses and looked at her assistant. What's wrong? My husband wants to talk to you, Lang Qiuzuan's assistant reminded him. Baya then looked at Lang Qiuzuan. Lang Qiuzuan was in a very bad mood. He pulled a long face, his eyes were cold, and his anger was wanton. He said sarcastically, You are more arrogant than the rumors say. I'll meditate when I'm thinking about something, Baya explained. Whether the other party believed her or not, it was none of her business. Lang Qiuzuan turned his face away, as if he did not want to talk to him anymore. Who was the arrogant one? Lang Qiuzuan's assistant smiled awkwardly and said, My husband said that Xiong Jiqing and Xiong Jinping have never been to Pingyan City. On the surface, they don't seem to know each other, and they don't exchange letters on the internet. The only thing they have in common is that they both went to bed together. People website. What do you think of this? I don't know for the time being. I've just come into contact with this case, Baya said and lowered his eyes. Because it involved the special forces, She didn't want to make any rash comments to avoid unnecessary trouble. You don't deserve your reputation, Lang Qiuzuan said contemptuously with the corner of his mouth curling upwards in a sarcastic manner. Baya glanced at Lang Qiuzuan. He didn't even look at her. Baya smiled faintly. According to psychology, people who are quick with their words are usually hiding their inferiority complex or guilty conscience. Which one is Mr. Lang? Lang Qiuzuan looked at Baya darkly. His pupils were constricted, making him look extremely sharp. Do you think I'll feel inferior or guilty? From the moment I got on the car, you wanted to know what I was capable of enjoying such a great reputation. You always looked at me with a judgmental and provocative gaze. From another perspective, you were worried that I would perform better than you, so you tested me and tested me again. This is not an expression of guilt. Do you want to see it now? Baya said casually. Nonsense, ignorant junior, Lang Qiuzuan said coldly. Mr. Lang is indeed talented. You have clear rules and excellent analysis. Although you don't show your face often, you have enjoyed the praise of the world. However, you are too greedy for praise. It reminds me of the famous general in history, Bai Qi. Baya said with a smile. Bai Qi? Looks like you've done a lot of research on me. I won't argue with you. He closed his eyes and said no more. Baya had never studied him at all, so he couldn't be bothered to argue with him. She only took on this case to repay his kindness. After driving for half an hour, they arrived at the South Railway Station. The station master sent them their tickets. They were all GXXX. They had priority to enter the station. Baya glanced at the coach on the ticket. It was coach number 6. She didn't want others to know about her relationship with Gu Lingqing, so she followed everyone to coach number 6. Coach number 6 was a first-class seat. She had just sat down when her phone rang. She saw that it was still a message from Gu Lingqing, so she opened it. Do you want me to send someone to invite you? Gu Lingqing's tone was overbearing and domineering. Baya replied helplessly, I just got on the train, so I came over after a while. She kept her phone and asked the train attendant, how long does it take to get to Pingyan from here? 6 hours and 20 minutes. We'll arrive at around 21:30, the attendant said with a smile. Baya nodded. She picked up her bag and walked towards the coach at the back. Where are you going? Lang Qiuzuan asked. I have something to do. I'll come at 2100 hours, Baya said simply. Lang Qiuzuan snorted. She arrived at coach number 12. There were 4 soldiers outside the door of coach number 12. They seemed to know her as they knocked on the door. Come in, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. The soldiers pushed the door open and Baya walked in. Gu Lingqing was browsing on the computer, very focused. His brows were slightly furrowed, and he looked especially cold. You're going to Pingyan too? Baya asked first. Gu Lingqing threw the information in his hand to her, but his eyes were still on the computer. Baya sat on the sofa and looked at the information that Gu Lingqing threw to her. It was Xiong Jiqing's information and Xiong Chang'an's information, as well as all the previous interactions between the two of them. Baya read all of them. The last page showed that both of them had logged onto the same adult website when she was on vacation. Xiong Jinping also logged onto the same adult website. Baya found the common characteristic of the 3 of them and looked at Gu Lingqing. He looked at her coldly and questioned, You didn't want to tell me when you went to Pingyan City for a business trip, did you? Baya didn't expect him to bring up the past at this time. I didn't have time to tell you, did I? You sent me a message. Really? Gu Lingqing didn't believe her at all. He smiled slightly. There was more than an hour between the time you confirmed that you were going to Pingyan and the time I sent you a message. You didn't even have time to send me a message? Baya knew that she couldn't hide it from Gu Lingqing. She looked down. Are you that busy with work? If you're that busy, you still have time to send me a message to see a doctor. Gu Lingqing exposed her lie without leaving any room for negotiation. Baya realized that Gu Lingqing was simply a logic freak. This is my job. I don't have to report to you one by one. You didn't tell me about your work either, did you? Gu Lingqing stood up. Baya instinctively stood up as well. He walked towards her. Suddenly, Baya felt the pressure increase. He put his arm around her waist and pulled her in front of him. You know very well whether it's about work or whether you're avoiding me on purpose. However, I can tell you very clearly that as long as I don't let go of you, there's no way you can avoid me. This trip to Pingyan is meant to be a gift to you. This trip to Pingyan is to give you a heads up. You're going to Pingyan because of me. Baiya was surprised. Her heart was beating extremely fast. You don't know how to do things, but you think too much. Xiong Jiqing and Xiong Chang'an are both members of my special forces. This is not a trivial matter. I must get to the bottom of it, Gu Lingqing said expressionlessly. His eyes were dark and without any color. You don't need to personally deal with this case, do you? Baiya said in a low voice. It's good that you know. Gu Lingqing's meaningful words made Baiya's heart, which had just calmed down a little, jump wildly again. Could it be that he knew that she was going to Pingyan, so he also came to Pingyan? Come to work. Gu Lingqing didn't give her time to let her imagination run wild. He hugged her and sat down in front of his computer. Baiya looked at the computer. Gu Lingqing entered the website. An adult website appeared in front of her. Chapter 164. Baiya felt uneasy and didn't look at the screen. Don't you think it's better for your subordinates to do this job? They've already done it. They didn't find anything, Gu Lingqing said coldly. I might not have found anything. Baiya resisted. It wasn't that she hadn't seen it before. Lu Shuang wanted it on his computer. It was just that she didn't want to watch it with him. You'll know if you found anything after you watch it, Gu Lingqing said. Gu Lingqing said. He clicked on one of the videos and looked at the screen seriously. In this video, all three of them have seen it before. You've seen it? Baiya asked. There was a strange feeling in her heart. Gu Lingqing was expressionless. Not yet. But prepare to watch it now. Don't be distracted. Look at the screen. Baiya. His words made it seem like she wasn't pure. Baiya looked at the screen. A woman and two men in the wilderness. It was high definition and uncensored. Baiya knew that it was work, but she was too embarrassed to watch it with him. She picked up the mineral water bottle on the table, opened it and drank 2 mouthfuls. Gu Lingqing glanced at her without batting an eyelid. Haven't you and I watched this kind of video before? You never watched this kind of video before, Baiya said. Was I that boring in the past? Gu Lingqing asked. Baiya. More or less, she said perfunctorily. How many times a week did we do it before? Gu Lingqing's topic was getting deeper and deeper. Baiya gulped down a few mouthfuls of water. I don't remember. She felt that the words, I don't remember, were too perfunctory. She added, we didn't have many chances to meet in the past. You were very busy with work, so we couldn't count it in weeks. You have a lot of complaints against me? Gu Lingqing guessed. His words made it seem like she really wanted it. Baiya didn't want to continue this topic. Chief, don't you need to work anymore? Gu Lingqing looks at her deeply, as if he has confirmed the answer. That gaze made Baiya feel uncomfortable. She looked at the computer screen and suddenly saw some problems, so she paused the screen. She paused the entire scene of the man and woman together. Baiya deliberately ignored them. Did you find anything? Gu Lingqing asked. Baiya took out the photos from her bag and compared them. The title of this video is The Wilderness, but it's not the wilderness at all. It's inside the castle. It's just that because of the black background, we thought it was night time. Look. Baiya drew out a part of the black color and vaguely saw the analysis between the black bricks. Vaguely. It's on the photo. It's on the screen. You mean they all saw this video, and then they all saw the castle, so they all went to the castle? Gu Lingqing frowned. Baiya didn't say anything. She played the video to the end. The woman was eating her fingers and said in a very sweet voice, Will you come and find me? I will always wait for you in this place. I remember your information said that they only read it when they were on vacation. Could it be that they drove to the castle and something unexpected happened? I think this woman is a clue. You'd better find out who she is immediately and get someone to investigate it. Baiya suggested. Gu Lingqing made a call. Help me find someone. I'll send you the photo. Through facial recognition, you should be able to find out who it is, right? Baiya watched as Gu Lingqing sent the face to the mailbox after asking the question. There are a few others. They watched the videos together. You can watch them too, Gu Lingqing said and clicked on the next video. Gu Lingqing, don't you think that your subordinates are a little? Baya looked at Gu Lingqing with difficulty. It's a man's nature. It's not training time. It's inevitable when you're on vacation. It's abnormal if you don't watch it, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya looked at him strangely. Did he mean he watched it too? She felt cramped. Gu Lingqing suddenly closed the computer. Baya didn't understand. What's wrong? She turned her head to look at him. Her heart skipped a beat when she met his lustful eyes. She quickly stood up. But it was too late. Gu Lingqing held her waist and brought her to the side of the bed. Baya felt hot. She tried to pry open his fingers. We're on the train now. My soldiers are guarding outside. Not even a fly can fly in. What are you afraid of? Aren't you blaming me for being too busy with work and not having time for a week? Gu Lingqing said. His voice was hoarse, right beside her ear. How am I blaming you for not having time for a week? Chief, you've misunderstood. Baya wanted to get up. Gu Lingqing pressed her down on the bed and looked down at her. With our relationship, do you think I won't be angry if you keep calling me chief? You don't have to be angry over such a small matter. The Prime Minister has a big belly. You should be more tolerant than the Prime Minister. Baya flattered him and pushed his shoulders. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pressed it against the side of her face. I won't be angry with you if you call me chief. But if you keep rejecting me, I will. Baya's heart trembled. There was a strange palpitation in her heart. He was too straightforward. Being straightforward, she didn't have any room to refuse. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. Baya didn't want to, but she also knew that if she resisted, Gu Lingqing would be ruthless and hurt her. He didn't go through a long process before he took her. She shouldn't have been prepared, but her reaction afterwards made her feel ashamed. She wanted more but was too embarrassed to say it. She looked at him with a layer of desire. That kind of Baya was real and beautiful. Gu Lingqing kissed her lips fiercely. If you reject me again, I won't let you come. His tone was fierce, but his actions were very doting. He went out to rest for a while and controlled his urges. When she climbed to the top, he would really care about her feelings. After that, Baya was sweating all over. Can I take a shower here? There's no hot water, but there's cold water. It's not good to take a cold shower. I'll get someone to boil some water and send it over later, Gu Lingqing said. Baya was embarrassed. That way they will all know. You shouted so loudly. Do you think they won't know? No flies can fly in here, but it's not soundproof, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya felt that she had lost face in the Huangpu River. She lay on the bed, turned her back to him and pretended to be dead. Gu Lingqing glanced at her. There was a sense of pity in his eyes as he sat by the bed. Baya ignored him and picked at her nails. The people who came are all my confidants. Even if they die, they won't say a word. Don't worry, Gu Lingqing comforted her. I don't think you should force yourself. Baya negotiated. Chapter 165. Baya was speechless at his words. Gu Lingqing asked his men to bring a big basin and 5 bottles of hot water. Baya had to take a shower. She felt uncomfortable. She went into the washroom and came out. Gu Lingqing also went into the washroom to take a shower. His computer was not turned off. Baya glanced at it. There should be a lot of confidential documents on his computer. He actually went to the washroom without turning it off. If someone came to peek, a lot of secrets would be exposed. She did not look. The more secrets one knew, the faster one would die. She lay on the bed, took out her phone and went on QQ. A person called Man sent many messages. She had not used this QQ number for a long time. Usually, she only used it to contact Lu Shuang. She did not add people easily. She had no impression of this Man. She wondered if her former colleague had changed his name. For example, Lu Shuang changed his name once a month. She could not find him before. Later, she added Lu Shuang's name in her memory. Baya clicked on the message. I'm here. This kind of message was sent almost every day. Baya replied. I'm here. Who are you? Baya, you're finally here. I miss you so much. Where are you now? Man asked. Baya was curious that the other party could call out her name. Who are you? Baya asked. A man who loves you, Man said. Baya felt that the other party was hiding something. Moreover, she was picky, which made her unhappy. Her tone became unpleasant. There are many men who love me. I won't tell you who it is. I'm blacklisting you. The other party was silent for 3 seconds. Baya was going to blacklist him. He typed a few words. Su Jiaran. Baya remembered that she had blacklisted Su Jiaran in this QQ. How could he still be there? Whether it was Su Jiaran or not, she had to blacklist him. The phone was suddenly taken away by a big hand. Baya looked at the owner of the hand. Gu Lingqing scanned through their chat history and frowned. Many men love you? Originally, this sentence was meant to provoke him, and it was more or less intentional and boastful. However, she didn't like it when he snatched her phone and looked at her privacy. She didn't look at anything on his computer. It should be quite a lot, Baya said and went to get his phone back. Gu Lingqing frowned even harder. Are you still in a relationship with your ex-husband? I didn't know Man was his name. I thought it was a woman's name. Besides, I seem to have blacklisted him a long time ago. This sentence was true. Gu Lingqing blacklisted Man and handed the phone to her. Who loves you? Tell me. Baya. It was just a sentence from her, and he took it seriously. Mao, Go, Zhang San, Li Si, Zhang Long, Zhao Hu. Baya made up a random story. Gu Lingqing held her chin, bent down and kissed her lips. To be exact, it wasn't a kiss, but a bite. It was a little lighter than a bite, but it didn't diminish. He pushed her onto the bed. Baya was shocked. She put her hands on his chest and blushed. Didn't we just do it? I just washed it clean. Gu Lingqing looked at her deeply. He didn't speak, but his eyes were very bright, and they could reflect her. Baya couldn't figure out what he meant. First of all, you either pushed me down or wanted me. Secondly, can't you just do it? Gu Lingqing asked. Well. Baya took the opportunity to sit up and shrink at the foot of the bed. What? Gu Lingqing watched her every move, but he didn't expose her. Once a week is a physiological need, twice a week is a romantic need. 7 times a week means that you don't pay attention to your health, and it's harmful to your body. Baya explained. Gu Lingqing sat by the bed and looked at her. Then how many times a week do you want me to do it with you? Baya felt that his words were a trap. If it was once, she seemed to be used as a tool. She couldn't accept it. If it was twice, it would seem that she was ambitious and what she wanted was not simple. Well, if you're too serious, you'll have a burden. Baya skipped over his question. You also know that being serious will have a burden? Gu Lingqing raised the corner of his mouth and said with an ambiguous expression. Baya. His words were directed at the theory of preserving one's health above her. Baya realized that she couldn't win against him in an argument. It wasn't that he was eloquent and had a glib tongue. Gu Lingqing didn't talk much, and most of the time, he was as calm as a mountain. However, he was very serious with his words, and it wasn't something that an ordinary person could compete with. Thinking that he was deliberately tricking her, she was a little annoyed and scolded him in a low voice. Win me every time, okay? Doesn't your heart hurt? Doesn't your heart hurt? This sentence was often said on the internet, and it was equivalent to a catchphrase. After she said it, she felt that she was wrong. Gu Lingqing was such a rigid person. How could he know that this was an internet slang used for jokes? He would take it seriously. I'll let you next time, Gu Lingqing promised seriously. Baya had a strange feeling in her heart. She lowered her head and felt his manly scent approaching. He was already in front of her. However, I have to correct you about one thing, Gu Lingqing said. What is it? Baya connected the dots. She didn't seem to have done anything wrong. I Buzong Gu, haven't had a woman in the past 3 years, and I haven't solved it myself, but I want to do it with you, Gu Lingqing said seriously. Baya's heart was beating extremely fast. What was Gu Lingqing hinting at? Did he like her? Not likely. He liked to have sex with her, but it didn't mean that he liked her personally. He also said that she wasn't his type, and he was very curious about how he could have liked her in the past. But why did he say this to her? Baya looked at his eyes that were as clear as water and as calm as autumn zen. All right, he was just stating that he liked to do this with her, that was all. It was really an answer that made her not know whether to laugh or cry. You didn't solve it yourself in the past, so what did you do physiologically? Baya tried to divert her thoughts. He was too hot, and he was pouncing on her skin through the air. Sports, training, high-tension exercises, and handling work can consume some of my energy. Sometimes, the quilt will be dirty once every month or two, Gu Lingqing explained. Baya thought of Su Xiaoling. Su Xiaoling was his fiancée. According to her understanding, Su Xiaoling should be older than her. She was already 28 now, and Su Xiaoling had reached the stage of becoming more mature, so she would also need it. Should she remind him about Su Xiaoling's matter? She didn't want to be nosy. But, if Gu Lingqing and Su Xiaoling did it, and Gu Lingqing did it with her, she would also be in trouble. Anyway, you must use condoms in the future, Baya said. It was too hot. She climbed towards the side of the bed, away from him. Gu Lingqing looked at her and felt hot. He held her waist and easily carried her into his arms. Didn't you use a birth control ring? You don't have to use it. Chapter 166. Baya knew that he had misunderstood. I'm talking about you and your fiancé. Baya regretted it the moment she said it. After he and his fiancé got married, they should have a baby. Shouldn't they have a baby? Gu Lingqing looked at her quietly and didn't say anything. His eyes were too deep. Baya didn't dare to look at him directly. She felt very awkward and didn't know how to explain. Gu Lingqing let go of her. Baya immediately stood up and stayed 2 meters away from him, guarding against him. Maybe it was because she hadn't had lunch and she was exercising, but her stomach was growling. Gu Lingqing seemed to know what she was thinking. Have you had lunch? Baya couldn't deny it. I left in a hurry. I didn't have time. Gu Lingqing made a phone call. Go to the restaurant and ask the chef to make 4 dishes. Gu Lingqing looked at Baya. Is there anything in particular that you want to eat? Baya felt that her mouth was bland. She wanted to eat something with a strong taste. Is there a fish head with chopped peppers, spicy chicken, duck blood curd and so on? Gu Lingqing frowned slightly. You like spicy food? Baya shook her head. I just want to eat it now. Ask the chef to make fish head with chopped peppers, spicy chicken, tomato eggs, and winter gourd ribs. That's all. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone after giving the order. Baya sat down on the sofa and waited for the food. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. She looked at the computer again and worked. She was a little bored, so she picked up her phone and casually browsed the web. She was quiet, looking as if she was enjoying the peaceful time. Gu Lingqing's eyes were on her face. He seemed to be thinking about something. Baya saw a piece of news. It said that the police rescued more than 200 children in Dragon City and appealed to their families to claim them. Her eyes darkened. If her and Gu Lingqing's child is still alive, it should be 5 years old. Will her baby be among the rescued children? Back then, Su Jiaran had said that he had some clues. More than 3 years had passed, but he had not found anything. Otherwise, according to his personality, he would have come to negotiate with her. Is Longqing not too far away from Pingyan City? Baya looked up and asked Gu Lingqing. Because she was immersed in her own thoughts, she did not notice the deep look in his eyes. Even if she noticed it, with Gu Lingqing's unfathomable abilities, she wouldn't be able to tell anything. The high-speed train will take more than half an hour. What's wrong? Gu Lingqing asked. Baya nodded. After this case was solved, she wanted to go to Longqing's Public Security Bureau to try her luck. Just asking. Gu Lingqing looked at the computer screen again. Baya sat on the sofa in a daze. When her baby was born, she saw it, and it didn't look like her. The baby's biological father was Gu Lingqing. If the baby didn't look like her, would it look like Gu Lingqing? Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Baya came back to herself and went to open the door. The soldiers outside the door each brought a dish over. Gu Lingqing closed the computer and put it on the coffee table. The table was empty, and he said to the soldier, Go get 2 bottles of drinks. Do you have beer? Baya asked the soldier. The soldier looked at Gu Lingqing. Go get a few bottles of beer, Gu Lingqing ordered. Yes. The soldier retreated from the room. Baya sat next to Gu Lingqing and used disposable chopsticks to eat some steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers. It was fresh, salty and spicy. I haven't eaten steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers for a long time. The steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers I make is very delicious. I'll make it for the chief someday, Baya said casually. Gu Lingqing's expression looked calm, but there was some joy in his eyes. Did you cook for me before? Yes. Baya was in a good mood today, so she was more talkative. When I go back, I can make a few dishes that I'm good at. I've never had a good appetite, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing and couldn't help but care for him. She blurted out, "Why not? It's been like this since I left the hospital. There are many things to do, and my memory has been blank for many years. There are many things that I need to adapt to. For example, adapting to being the chief of a special military unit. The central government is also against it. Those who are capable will survive. I need to prove that I have the ability and courage. I also need to understand the complicated relationships between people. For example, my fiancé. Everyone told me that I love my fiancé very much." Gu Lingqing stopped abruptly and didn't continue. In fact, he had already said a lot. He didn't know why, but he trusted Baya. Baya lowered her eyes. She didn't experience it, but she could feel it if she thought about it with her brain. A chief who lost his memory, he also lost his experience, strategy, and that graceful courage. He was in a high position, so there would definitely be many people who opposed him. In order to prove that he still had the ability, he needed to put in a lot of effort. Especially Su Xiaoling's existence. That was equivalent to a lie. The ones who lied to him were his family, friends, and everyone he used to trust. It must be very difficult for him to survive in a lie. Baya's heart ached for him. It was no wonder that he had become so harsh, heartless, cold, and ruthless. The soldiers brought 12 bottles of beer, 2 glasses, and a bottle opener. Baya opened a bottle of beer and poured it for him. Gu Lingqing held her hand and looked at her with eyes as dark as ink. "Can you tell me the real reason why we broke up?" Baya looked at Gu Lingqing. She didn't want to lie to him anymore. Otherwise, he would be too pitiful. But she also didn't want to push him to hell. "The arrangement of fate," Baya said ambiguously. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed and he drank up the beer in the glass. "You still refuse to tell me. Baya, what do I have to do to pry open the secret in your heart? The past is like the wind. You really don't have to be so stubborn. If you can, you should try your best to climb up and stand at the highest peak of the world. There is no weakness, and no one can hurt you." Baya said meaningfully and also drank up the beer in the glass. She saw that Gu Lingqing still wanted to ask something, but she was afraid that she couldn't bear it, so she changed the topic and said, "Leader, let's play a game. Do you know how to play the drinking game?" Gu Lingqing could see that she was deliberately avoiding it, and he was a little annoyed. "Drinking game is boring. Let's play cards. It's simple and straightforward. The loser drinks. What if I get drunk?" Baya was a little worried. "If you get drunk and sleep, you will be sober by then. What are you afraid of? Don't you still have me?" Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. "Don't you still have me?" This sentence was so familiar. It seemed that she had heard Gu Lingqing say it before. She looked at Gu Lingqing, and her eyes were sparkling. She was very moved, as if she had found the Gu Lingqing in her heart. Even if that Gu Lingqing would only appear for 1 or 2 seconds, it was enough to make her feel warm. Now she knew why she was still able to live on. Chapter 167. This was probably one of the main reasons why she was willing to compromise with the current Gu Lingqing. There was still a desire in her heart. It was hidden very, very deeply. But it wasn't that there was none. "All right, then let's play cards and draw randomly, right?" Baya asked about the rules. Gu Lingqing nodded and asked the soldier to get a deck of cards. He shuffled the cards and let Baya draw. Baya drew 1 card, and so did he. Gu Lingqing was very good at playing cards, and he almost never lost. Baya was also very straightforward and drank directly. He was very careful, and he didn't play cards continuously. He always let her eat a little before playing again. She ate a lot and drank a lot too. She was drunk. Baya came out of the washroom, and she was already swaying. Again. She sat next to Gu Lingqing and said with half-closed eyes, "No, you've already drunk enough. If you drink any more, it'll hurt your body," Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Heh. Baya laughed, and her eyes were sparkling. She sat on Gu Lingqing's lap and put her hand on his shoulder naturally. "You care about me?" Gu Lingqing pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Her eyes lingered on his face. "Gu Lingqing, if you didn't forget about me, guess what would happen to us now?" Gu Lingqing realized that she was really drunk. Her little face was red, and even her smile was a little simple and honest. "What would happen?" Gu Lingqing followed her words and said. Baya broke into a smile and touched his soft lips with her middle finger. She was a little infatuated, and the words she said were very pessimistic. "Nothing will happen, right? I'm not your type. You like Zhou Hailun." Gu Lingqing frowned and held her hand that was on his lips. "You know Zhou Hailun." Baya nodded, tears flowing from the corners of her eyes. Zhou Hailun, the cinnabar mole in his heart, the thorn in her flesh. Gu Lingqing saw her tears and felt a strange sadness in her heart. She wiped her tears with her fingertips and realized a possibility. "Does my breakup with you have anything to do with her?" Actually, it was unrelated, but it was related. It had nothing to do with the fact that she and Zhou Hailun did not know each other. The two of them had appeared at different times in his life. When she first met him, there was a Zhou Hailun in his heart. She could tell from his reaction when he saw Xia He. After he lost his memory, he forgot about her and remembered Zhou Hailun. This was the direct cause of her suicide. Thinking of this, her heart ached. She didn't want to mention Zhou Hailun anymore. "Gu Lingqing, I don't like it when you keep testing me," Baya expressed. Gu Lingqing fell silent. The corners of Baya's mouth raised. "Actually, I know that you keep me by your side because you want to know about the past. You're drunk. Rest for a while. I'll wake you up when it's almost time for Ping Yan." Gu Lingqing carried Baya and put her on the bed. Baya pulled him down and wrapped her arms around the back of his neck. She wrapped her arms around the back of his neck, and the distance between them was less than 10 centimeters. Gu Lingqing looked at her. "Didn't you want to know what kind of positions we liked in the past?" Baya asked. Gu Lingqing stared at her. Two little Baya were reflected in his deep eyes. She was smiling and crying. In her eyes, there was an emotion that he could not fathom. It was more like despair and nirvana. "You're really drunk," Gu Lingqing said with a frown. Baya wrapped her legs around his waist and pulled him in. Gu Lingqing moved closer to her. He frowned slightly and looked into her eyes. This was a very normal action for her. The difference was that she took the initiative, liked, and cooperated. This proved that they had really loved each other before. He should ask more questions while she was drunk. Those secrets that she wanted to hide might be blurted out because she was drunk. However, Baya's words just now flashed through his mind. "Gu Lingqing, I don't like you to keep testing me." His heart tightened when he thought of how she cried. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. The drunk Baya was very passionate. She kissed him back and would rub against him like a pitiful kitten, teasing him. When he wanted her, she would wrap her legs around his waist. This feeling was completely different from the previous few times when he was cold and passive. She was real now, lively and alive. He was very excited and his breathing was heavy. Sweat fell on her body along with his sharp and hard chin. He and she were almost at the same time. Her voice was soft and mellow. It was as beautiful as the sound of nature. He could feel the difference. There was a force of attraction that brought him into her world. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed her lips. She opened her mouth slightly and breathed. Her eyes were unfocused. She was tired and fell into a deep sleep. Gu Lingqing got up. He knew that Baya liked to be clean. He helped her clean up before he went to the washroom to clean up. When he came out, Baya was still asleep and wouldn't wake up for a while. On the contrary, he was very clear-headed. He thought about every word Baya said and every expression she made when she was drunk. He had a feeling that they didn't break up. He lost his memory and had no choice but to separate. Baya woke up naturally. When she opened her eyes, She saw that Gu Lingqing was still sitting in front of the computer, working. The table had been cleaned up. Even the empty bottles were gone. She was drunk. When she was drunk, her last memory was of her going to the toilet. She would talk nonsense after she lost her memory. He was a little worried. "What time is it now?" Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ya. "It's 9 o'clock. You woke up in time." Bai Ya looked at his expression. She didn't notice anything strange. "I didn't say anything nonsense, did I?" Gu Lingqing's lips curled up. "Is it nonsense to say what kind of position I like?" Bai Ya's face was flushed red. She didn't have to say that. That was too unreserved. "Other than that, what else did I say?" Bai Ya had a bad feeling. "Oh right. You didn't say it. You did it directly," Gu Lingqing corrected. Bai Ya was dumbfounded. Her eyes were wide open as she sized him up, trying to determine if what he said was true or not. The main thing was that they had already done it once. Even if it happened again, she wouldn't feel any difference. Bai Ya couldn't tell from Gu Lingqing's face. She asked in a low voice, "What was it like then?" Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. He changed the topic. "Are you going with your partner or me?" Bai Ya saw that he didn't say anything. It should be fake. Her expression was much more relaxed. "I'll go with my colleagues. It's not good to go alone. I'll go to the castle too. We'll contact each other when the time comes," Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Bai Ya got up and walked towards the door. "Bai Ya, you said that the position we like is not convenient for me to come out. You didn't have a birth control ring in the past. I don't think I like to use birth control products. Have we ever had a child?" Gu Lingqing suddenly asked. Chapter 168. Bai Ya knew that she had to be careful when talking to Gu Lingqing. He would be able to spot any mistakes or logical problems. She glanced sideways at Gu Lingqing. "How can there be a child when we're in this position? We've only done it a few times." Gu Lingqing. He could sense a deep resentment in her tone. Could it be that he really did not satisfy her in the past? This made Gu Lingqing very uncomfortable. Bai Ya went back to her carriage. Lang Qiuzuan's sharp gaze was scrutinizing Bai Ya. It was as if he was looking at an X-ray, which made people shudder in fear. She only took a glance at Lang Qiuzuan and pretended that she did not see anything. She returned to her original seat. "Where did you go?" Lang Qiuzuan asked in a cold tone as if he was interrogating her. "I don't think I need to report to you where I go," Bai Ya said defensively. "I'm your team leader now. I have the obligation to ensure your safety. You've been out for 6 hours. Even if you're chatting with someone, 6 hours is too long." Lang Qiuzuan furrowed his eyebrows. "I'm not a child. Besides, I was on the train. Where could I have gone?" Bai Ya did not want to answer. "That's why I'm even more curious. What could have taken 6 hours on the train?" Lang Qiuzuan wanted to get to the bottom of it. "My friend was there too, so I went to his place," Bai Ya said ambiguously. "What friend?" Lang Qiuzuan asked matter-of-factly. Bai Ya furrowed her eyebrows. "You're the team leader of this case. Even if you're my superior, you have no right to interfere with my freedom to make friends. Mr. Lang, you think too highly of yourself." Lang Qiuzuan gritted his teeth and turned his face away with a ghastly pale face. His lips were pursed tightly. His assistant did not look well. Mr. Lang was definitely angry. "Detective Bai, my husband is just concerned about you. He checked his mobile phone several times just to make sure that you're safe," said the assistant. Bai Ya also felt that his tone was very bad. In the end, it was because he felt guilty, so he used the sharpness and strength of his words to cover it up. "I'm sorry, Mr. Lang." Bai Ya took the initiative to apologize. Lang Qiuzuan continued to ignore her. He was like a statue, not moving an inch. Bai Ya glanced at him. She had already apologized, so it was up to him whether or not he wanted to forgive her. His phone rang with a message. She saw that it was from Gu Lingqing and clicked on it. "If your colleagues ask you where you went, just say that I called you over to ask about the case. It's fine." Bai Ya put her phone back into her bag. She had already said that she had met a friend. If she were to change her words now, it would be a slap to her face. Anyway, it was a small matter. Lang Qiuzuan adjusted his mood and looked at Bai Ye, saying, "Do you dare to sleep in the castle tonight?" Bai Ye looked at Lang Qiuzuan in surprise. The castle had always had a mysterious and murderous feeling. It was a little creepy and scary even in the daytime. To sleep there at night. This person was too bold. Lang Qiuzuan curled up the corner of his mouth sarcastically. "Don't you dare? I heard that you used to be a doctor. Don't tell me that you also believe in nonsense like ghosts and gods?" "I just think that it will be more comfortable to sleep in a hotel," Bai Ye explained. Lang Qiuzuan's face became even worse. "Do you think that you are asked to come out to handle a case for comfort? I'm sorry, I have to finish this case in 3 days. I don't have time to waste. If you want to go to a hotel, go alone. In fact, I don't think you are needed," Lang Qiuzuan said sarcastically. Bai Ye was speechless. It was as if it was an unforgivable sin for her not to stay in the castle with them. "I know," Bai Ye answered. Lang Qiuzuan looked away and said coldly, "Useless." Bai Ye was speechless. It would be rude to argue with him in front of him. She didn't need to convince him. She just needed to make up her mind. But she still felt creeped out. Bai Ye sent a text to Gu Lingqing. "Do you know Lang Qiuzuan? He's a very famous detective. He's now the team leader of this case. He wants us to sleep in that murderous castle tonight." Gu Lingqing sent a word. Bai Ye saw that it was only one word. It was simple and straightforward. There was a sense of loss in her heart. Her phone rang again. It was Gu Lingqing again. "I've already arranged it. We will stay in the castle tonight. I'll bring 2 people in. Don't be afraid." Bai Ye couldn't help but smile. She instantly felt at ease. It was as if wherever he was, she would be safe. He gave her this feeling that he could protect her. Lang Qiuzuan snorted coldly. He said at a decibel that Bai Ye could hear, "You're still a little girl. You pretend to be mature and capable. You report to your boyfriend every time something happens. Are you seeking comfort?" Bai Ye looked at Lang Qiuzuan in disbelief. How did he know that she was snitching on him? However, her behavior really looked like she was seeking comfort from her boyfriend. Was Gu Lingqing her boyfriend? Bai Ye's heart beat faster. She blushed and looked out of the window. She looked like a little girl reflected on the window. Bai Ye sighed. She had finally walked out of the shadow. Was she going to fall back into it again? Soon, the train arrived at the station. "Don't fall behind again. Someone from Pingyan City is here to pick us up. They've arranged for supper," Lang Qiuzuan said to the air. Bai Ye guessed that he was talking to her. She analyzed Lang Qiuzuan from a psychological point of view. Arrogant, rude, arrogant, conceited, and condescending. Besides, he should know about her. He had a world. This world wouldn't be let in casually. He didn't talk to others. Occasionally, he would talk to her. He was so arrogant. It meant that he was still willing to let her into his world. It was just that he was still investigating. Bai Ye suddenly felt that Lang Qiuzuan was quite cute like this. She laughed. Lang Qiuzuan suddenly looked at her with a long face. "What are you laughing at? Take a guess." Bai Ye didn't want to tell him. "You're laughing at me," Lang Qiuzuan said very clearly. Bai Ye laughed even more brightly. Her eyes were curved. "It's rare for me to be confused. Hee. Lang Qiuzuan gritted his teeth. "You're really laughing at me." Bai Ye didn't reply to him. She walked in front. The people from the police station greeted them in a police car. The rotating lights on the police car were very bright. It was very easy to recognize. A strong man in the police uniform came forward and greeted Lang Qiuzuan. "You're finally here. You must be hungry. Our chief has prepared a meal. Please follow me." Lang Qiuzuan responded coolly. There were a total of 5 of them this time. Each car had a driver and someone to pick them up. Bai Ye deliberately wanted to sit in a separate car from Lang Qiuzuan. She walked to the car at the back and sat in the back. Lang Qiuzuan sat next to her. "Bai Ye." Chapter 169. Gu Lingqing didn't bring many people for dinner. Only 2. The director said warmly, "Thank you for coming here despite your busy schedule. Let me introduce you. Mr. Lang Chiozuan, Assistant Lang, Ms. Bai Ya, Xiao Wang, Xiao Li. After introducing the people on Bai Ya's side, the director introduced the people on Gu Lingqing's side. This is Mr. Gu, Mr. Zhang, and Mr. Cheng, who were sent by the military to investigate. Mr. Gu, Mr. Zhang, and Mr. Cheng? Bai Ya guessed that the director didn't know the real identity of Gu Lingqing. Lang Chiozuan looked at Gu Lingqing but didn't greet him. Bai Ya was very guilty. The fact that she was the woman behind Gu Lingqing's back was hidden in the dark. Once it was exposed, there would be endless trouble. She was a little worried that Lang Chiozuan would see through her, so she didn't greet him. The director saw that the people on both sides weren't polite and felt quite awkward. Sit down. Everyone must be hungry. Let's eat first. The group sat down. Bai Ya sat opposite Gu Lingqing. Lang Chiozuan sat next to Bai Ya. Bai Ya's foot was suddenly clamped by 2 legs. She slightly frowned and looked at Gu Lingqing. He was calm and didn't look at her at all. He shook the red wine glass in his hand. This man could be so childish. Bai Ya pulled her foot out. We'll live in the castle after dinner. Can you help us prepare some sleeping mats? Lang Chiozuan went straight to the point. You're going to live in the castle? The director was very surprised. We're here to solve a case, not to travel. The sooner we find out, the better. I have other things to do. Lang Chiozuan said very firmly. Oh, that's fine. I'll arrange it now. However, I have to remind you that there are sometimes strange sounds coming from the castle at night. We locals don't dare to approach it. In fact, something happened to the castle before. The chief said. What happened? Gu Lingqing asked coldly. The bureau chief explained, we were afraid that it would cause a negative impact, so this matter wasn't reported in the newspapers. Previously, a few high school students were playful and ran in. Only one came out but he went crazy. Have you found the children? Bai Ya asked. The chief shook his head. We've sent a few bold officers to search during the day, but to no avail. They didn't even find a corpse. So, you guys have to be careful when you go in. Bai Ya was an atheist, but he still felt creeped out after hearing about it. This was because she knew another thing. The most terrifying thing in the world was not ghosts and deities, but the human heart. Gu Lingqing kicked her lightly. Bai Ya came back to his senses and looked at Gu Lingqing. It's better if girls don't stay in there, Gu Lingqing said. Bai Ya knew that he was concerned about her. She felt a warmth in her heart. I'm so sure too. After all, girls are all cowards. They can just wait for news in the hotel, Lang Chiozuan said sarcastically. Bai Ya could tell that Lang Chiozuan was deliberately targeting her. The warmth in her heart turned into coldness. No need. Let's go in together. I want to solve the case as soon as possible. After Bai Ya said that, the atmosphere became strangely quiet again. The chief laughed dryly and said, Let's eat. Our pufferfish is very famous. We also have sori, which you can't find anywhere else. Bai Ya had never eaten pufferfish before, so she picked up some and put it in her mouth. It tasted like furry pigskin. It tickled her tongue, so she spat it out. Not used to it? The chief asked with concern. Yes, Bai Ya answered and didn't deny it. I've heard of Ms. Bai's name for a long time. I thought you were an old lady. I didn't expect you to be so young and beautiful. Do you have a boyfriend? The chief asked. This question made Bai Ya feel quite awkward. Not yet, Bai Ya said perfunctorily. Gu Lingqing was displeased and kicked her again. Bai Ya frowned and added, I'm too busy with work. I don't think about it for now. Heh, Lang Chiozuan sneered and looked at Bai Ya with disdain. It was obvious that he didn't agree with her. Bai Ya. She guessed that in Lang Chiozuan's eyes, she was a person who couldn't be compared to what she appeared to be. She was annoyed for no reason and asked with a smile, Mr. Lang, you don't have a girlfriend either, right? What? You want to be with me? I'm sorry, but I don't like you, Lang Chiozuan said arrogantly. Gu Lingqing's face looked even worse. When he looked at Bai Ya, he was obviously angry. However, it was only for a moment. He hid it very well. Bai Ya wasn't angry either. When it came to people like Lang Chiozuan, she would lose if she was angry. Bai Ya said with a smile, Mr. Lang, don't worry. I'm not blind among the people here. I'd rather like Mr. Gu than you. Leng Qiuzuan was angry. He looked at Gu Lingqing up and down as if he was looking at his rival in love. Gu Lingqing was a little taller than him, a little stronger than him, a little better looking than him, calmer and more enigmatic than him. He suddenly frowned, as if he had seen Gu Lingqing somewhere before. The chief's voice was dry. Eat. The chief's hospitality was quite generous. Well, Baiya guessed that the chief only needed to sign the bill. Every unit like this had a hospitality fee. Therefore, the chief gave everyone a plate of bread crabs. The bread crabs were golden and covered with egg yolk. They looked delicious. I'll wash my hands first, Baiya said and stood up. Poor and fastidious, Leng Qiuzuan said unhappily, as if he was deliberately trying to suppress her. Baiya didn't know when she offended him. Because they were both famous, but he didn't have to go that far. Forget it. After this case, they probably wouldn't have a chance to meet again. Bear with it for a while, and everything would be peaceful. Baiya went to the washroom, washed her hands, and came out. Gu Lingqing stood by the wall and smoked. Baiya wanted to pretend that she didn't know him and walk over. Gu Lingqing held her wrist. Baiya was shocked. She was pulled into the men's washroom by him. Baiya's heartbeat quickened. She lowered her voice and said, Gu Lingqing will be seen here. It's not good. Don't you have a boyfriend? Gu Lingqing questioned. Baiya felt that his tone wasn't very good. Don't you know whether I have a boyfriend or not? Gu Lingqing looked at her fiercely. In the future, no matter who asks you, you must say that you have a boyfriend. Do you understand? He sounded like he was ordering her. Baiya couldn't be bothered to argue with him. Got it. I have to go back now. They'll be suspicious if I'm late. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed her hard on the lips. His breath was too strong, with the smell of tobacco, and the danger of a mature man. Baiya was too nervous. Her nose was densely covered in sweat. She pressed against Gu Lingqing's chest, hoping that he would stop after a little taste. Gu Lingqing originally wanted to just kiss her, but after touching her soft lips, he didn't want to stop after a little taste. The washroom's handle clicked. Baiya was so shocked that her heart almost jumped out of her throat. Chapter 170. Gu Lingqing carried her into the last cubicle. The space was too narrow. She could feel his heartbeat when she put her hand on his chest. Thump, 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 thump. Suddenly, she felt a little sad and looked up at Gu Lingqing. At least, he was still alive, wasn't he? She should thank God that it was only his memory that was taken away, not his life. However, what was the bitterness in her eyes? Was it unwillingness, sadness, or pity? Baiya lowered her head. Her long eyelashes covered the real emotions in her eyes. She shouldn't have let him see it. That Mr. Gu's identity is very noble, right? Leng Qiuzuan's voice was heard. Yes, it should be. The higher-ups told us to listen to his orders, the director replied. Does he have a girlfriend? Leng Qiuzuan asked calmly and turned on the tap to wash his hands. I'm not sure. I don't even know who he is. How would I know if he has a girlfriend? The director said with a smile. This Mr. Gu is a lady killer. My assistant and Baiya blush when they see him, Leng Qiuzuan said sarcastically and opened the door to go out. Baiya. She blushed when she saw Gu Lingqing. Why didn't she know? Leng Qiuzuan's observation skills were too strong. She was very worried. Did you see me blush? Gu Lingqing asked with great interest. No, maybe it's because he drank a little. Leng Qiuzuan likes to talk nonsense, Baiya denied. Gu Lingqing kissed her on the lips. Baiya moved back. Gu Lingqing was unhappy and pinched her chin. Baiya pushed Gu Lingqing's hand away and explained, We've been out for a long time. If we don't go back, people will suspect us. Without waiting for Gu Lingqing's reply, she opened the door and walked out with her head covered. When he returned to the private room, everyone was there except for Gu Lingqing. Leng Qiuzuan glanced at Baiya. You were gone for a long time. I thought you had drowned in the washroom. Baiya was a little embarrassed. Leng Qiuzuan had been targeting her. Do you have to care about the length of time? Baiya said in a low voice, not paying attention to his tone. Leng Qiuzuan looked at her and met Baiya's resentful gaze. There was even a tinge of shyness in her eyes. She was shy because Leng Qiuzuan said that Baiya blushed when she saw Gu Lingqing. Leng Qiuzuan had a strange look in his eyes. He picked up the teacup beside him and took a sip. Baiya ignored her and peeled the crabs herself. They were quite delicious. Leng Qiuzuan placed his crabs beside her. Baiya looked at him in confusion. "Help me peel them," Leng Qiuzuan said simply. Baiya smiled. Where did he get the courage to think that she would help him peel them? "Assistant Leng, this is for your husband. Sorry for the trouble." Baiya passed the plate to Assistant Leng. Leng Qiuzuan's face darkened. "Is this how you treat your boss?" "You're not my boss," Baiya said bluntly. Leng Qiuzuan. Gu Lingqing came in from the door and sat opposite Baiya. "Does Mr. Gu have a girlfriend?" Leng Qiuzuan asked directly. Because he was in a bad mood. Even his tone was not good. Gu Lingqing glanced at Baiya. "Yes," he said in a low voice. Baiya's heart was beating very fast. No, Gu Lingqing did not only have a girlfriend, he had a fiancée. Baiya's beating heart calmed down. "That's a pity." Leng Qiuzuan smiled and glanced at Baiya. Baiya. This was the first time she saw Leng Qiuzuan smile. But why did he look at her when he smiled? It gave her a bad feeling. After dinner it was already 11 o'clock. The director ordered someone to bring 8 sleeping mats and 8 blankets. They set off to the castle together. The location of the castle was a little remote. It took more than an hour to drive from Pingyan City. Baiya did not want to talk to Leng Qiuzuan, so she pretended to sleep the moment she got in the car. She had insomnia easily at night. Plus, she had slept during the day, so she really could not sleep now. Suddenly, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She did not know what he wanted. Leng Qiuzuan used some strength. Baiya fell on Leng Qiuzuan's shoulder. Baiya. She smelled the faint scent of cologne on his body, with a feeling that could confuse her mind. Should she pretend to be asleep or open her eyes? She did not open her eyes before. If she opened them now, it would feel very awkward. The car stopped at a red light. Gu Lingqing's car stopped next to Baiya's car. He subconsciously looked into their car. When he saw Baiya leaning on Leng Qiuzuan's shoulder, his pupils shrank, and a sharp light shot out of his eyes. He picked up his phone and called Baiya. Baiya's phone rang. She was glad that someone called her, so that she woke up so naturally. Leng Qiuzuan explained, "You fell on my shoulder yourself." Baiya. She took out her phone from her bag and saw that it was Gu Lingqing's. Suddenly, she felt that she was not glad. She answered Gu Lingqing's call. "Did you not sleep enough during the day?" Gu Lingqing asked. His tone was heavy, as if he was depressed. Baiya did not understand what Gu Lingqing meant at first, and subconsciously looked out of the window. She met Gu Lingqing's eagle-like eyes, and guessed that Gu Lingqing saw her leaning on Leng Qiuzuan's shoulder, so she explained, "It won't happen again." "Wake up," Gu Lingqing said in a direct and commanding tone. Baiya felt very guilty, as if she had done something bad and was found out. "I got it." She hung up the phone. The light was green. "Boyfriend checking up on me?" Leng Qiuzuan asked, glancing at Baiya from the corner of his eyes. "Mr. Leng likes to be nosy," Baiya said, leaning back on the chair. "Didn't you say that you don't have a boyfriend?" "I don't know how women like you lie," Leng Qiuzuan said coldly. "What I think has nothing to do with you," Baiya said bluntly. Leng Qiuzuan was furious, and he kicked the chair in front of him. Leng Qiuzuan's assistant was sitting in the chair in front of him. The assistant's face turned pale. She knew that Mr. Lang did not like people criticizing him, so she immediately explained, "Mr. Lang never likes to be nosy. Mr. Lang is very responsible, maybe because Ms. Bai is a member of the team, so he cares a little more." Baiya did not want to fight with Leng Qiuzuan. After all, they still had to solve the case together, so she stopped while she was ahead. She changed the topic and asked the police officer who was driving, "How much longer until we arrive?" "More than half an hour. To be honest, you guys are really bold. There is one more thing that our director didn't tell you. In 2007, a creepy thing happened in this castle," the police officer said. "What creepy thing?" Baiya asked. Chapter 171. People used to hear a woman's voice in the castle. Sometimes, it sounded like she was doing that kind of thing. Sometimes, it sounded like someone who had been abused and was screaming hysterically. Sometimes, it sounded like she was crying. Sometimes, it was a creepy laugh, like a female ghost, the policeman said. Lang Chiozuan's assistant shuddered. He was afraid. Don't say any more. I wasn't afraid at first, but after hearing you say that, I'm afraid too. Did this happen before or after the disappearance of the young man? Baya asked calmly. It should be around the same time. The group of children heard the rumor that the castle was haunted, so they went in to take a risk. I didn't expect them to all die. The only one alive has gone mad, the policeman sighed. How many young men went in? Baya asked. 3. 2 are missing. We searched the entire castle, but we didn't find anyone. Did you find any blood on the ground? Lang Chiozuan asked suspiciously. The policeman shook his head. No. That's why that place became a ghost castle. No one dares to go near it. That ghost castle is so dangerous. Why didn't they tear it down? Assistant Lang complained. That castle is a non-material cultural heritage, the policeman explained. How is that possible? I've seen the castle before. It's European style. How did it become a non-material cultural heritage? Assistant Lang was confused. There's a legend about the castle. Back then, there was an emperor who hired a foreign artist called Lang Shining. He was an expert in architecture. There was a very rich eunuch in the palace. When he was about to retire, he spent a lot of money to buy a blueprint from Lang Shining. That eunuch was from Pingyan. After he returned, he built a castle in Pingyan. Legend has it that there are many treasures in the palace. However, many people went in to look for them, but they couldn't find them, the policeman explained. It's been so long. It should have collapsed by now. Why is the castle still standing? Assistant Lang asked suspiciously. The owner of the castle has been renovated many times. Strangely enough, the owner of the castle most likely died a mysterious death. Later, the country took over the house and made it an intangible cultural heritage. It is still preserved now. After the police officer finished speaking, Assistant Lang finally understood. He turned around and asked Lang Chiozuan in fear, Is there really a ghost in this castle? Lang Chiozuan curled his lips and said coldly, You don't have to go if you're afraid. When he said this, he looked at Bai Ya. Can I really not go? Assistant Lang asked. She really didn't dare to go. That's fine. Lang Chiozuan replied indifferently. Then I won't go. Assistant Lang said with a hollow laugh. Detective Bai, if you're afraid and don't want to go, you can choose not to go. Lang Chiozuan deliberately provoked him. Baya really didn't want to be looked down upon by him. I didn't say I was afraid. Assistant Lang got out of the car at the entrance of an express hotel on the road. The carriage arrived at the castle gate. It was pitch black, and there were no street lights around the castle. Are there lights in the castle? Baya asked the police officer. There are lights, but because no one has lived here for a long time, the power has been out for a long time. There seems to be a generator inside, but I'm not sure if it's still working, the police officer explained. Baya furrowed her eyebrows. Wouldn't that mean that she would be in the dark? There was an uncontrollable fear in her heart. Unknowingly, Gu Lingqing had walked behind Baya and held her waist. He said in a low voice, Don't be afraid. Baya looked up at Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing had already moved his gaze away and let go of her waist. He said to Lang Chiozuan, Your men stay in the car first. We'll go in and turn on the generator before you go in. As soon as he finished speaking, he led his men in. Lang Chiozuan stood in front of Baya and watched Gu Lingqing's disappearing figure. He said thoughtfully, The people in the military are really swift and decisive. It's their responsibility, Baya added. Lang Chiozuan looked back at Baya and asked suspiciously, You admire soldiers? They deserve our admiration, Baya said without hiding it. Is it them or him? You know Mr. Gu, right? Lang Chiozuan guessed. Baya felt that this Lang Chiozuan was really smart. He really lived up to his reputation. He had very keen observation and insight. Baya didn't answer him directly. Let's compete to see who can find the murderer first. Lang Qiuzuan turned around in disdain. The castle was lit up. But because of the age, many places still had those light bulbs from the 1980s, and the light they emitted was very weak. Lang Qiuzuan led the rest of his men in. As soon as Baiya stepped into the castle, a chilly wind with a moldy smell came to her nose. There was also a bad smell in the moldy smell, and she couldn't tell what it was. "Everyone pick a room to stay in," Lang Qiuzuan said, his eyes on Baiya with a provocative look. Baiya couldn't be bothered with him. She looked around the hall and asked Xiao Wang beside her, "Which room did the victim die in?" "The first floor, the one beside the stairs," Xiao Wang said. Baiya looked at the room beside the stairs. There seemed to be some shadows floating in the room. She couldn't help but hold her breath. Her heart was in her throat, and she stared at the door of the room and slowly walked over. "Hey!" Lang Qiuzuan suddenly said, and it was especially loud in the quiet room. Baiya was shocked. She held her heart and screamed. Gu Lingqing rushed out of the room beside the stairs and ran to Baiya immediately. He asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" Baiya came back to her senses. She knew who made that sound. She looked at Lang Qiuzuan angrily. "Are you crazy? Why are you scaring me?" "I thought you were brave, but you're just a paper tiger. I'm taking the room beside the stairs." "No one can take it from me," Lang Qiuzuan said arrogantly. Baiya was too weak to complain about him, so she simply ignored him. She looked at Gu Lingqing and asked, "Did you find anything inside?" Gu Lingqing shook his head. "There's no secret door. Nothing special. It's just an ordinary bed, a table, and 3 walls. There are no windows. I want to look at other rooms. Can you accompany me?" Baiya asked. Gu Lingqing saw that her face was pale from fear and had yet to recover. He couldn't bear it and nodded. "You need someone to accompany you just to look at a room. What a coward. You're so timid. You shouldn't have come. But maybe you have ulterior motives," Lang Qiuzuan said in a strange tone. Baiya couldn't understand why he always picked on her. Gu Lingqing glanced at Lang Qiuzuan. His eyes darkened. He hugged Baiya's waist and pulled her to his side. He said meaningfully, "Actually, I have ulterior motives too." Chapter 172. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing in surprise. She did not expect Gu Lingqing to say something like that. He seemed to be targeting Lang Qiuzuan on purpose. Moreover, there was a hint of ambiguity in his words that made her heart skip a beat. It made her feel that he was interested in her. "Don't you have a girlfriend, Mr. Gu?" "I'm afraid this saying is not suitable for you," Lang Qiuzuan said sarcastically. "You also know that I have a girlfriend. It's not appropriate to use this saying to describe Detective Bai," Gu Lingqing retorted. Lang Qiuzuan was speechless. He actually had nothing to say to that. Baiya could tell that he was deliberately standing up for her. To be honest, she felt that Lang Qiuzuan was sharp-tongued. She had been angry with Lang Qiuzuan a few times, but she never got the upper hand. With Gu Lingqing's help, it was easy to trick Lang Qiuzuan. Gu Lingqing's ability to trick people was probably invincible in the world. Baiya could not help but give him a thumbs up. The corners of her mouth lifted slightly. How boring. Lang Qiuzuan turned and walked to the 2nd floor. "Let's take a look at the kitchen first," Baiya said. Gu Lingqing held her hand. His palm was very warm. She did not feel afraid when he held her hand. Although she knew that this was not right, she did not pull her hand away. The two of them walked into the kitchen. The kitchen was very big. There were 6 burrows in the stove, which could fit 6 pots. It was obvious that the owner of this castle used to be very luxurious and many people lived in this castle. Gu Lingqing opened the lids of the pots. The pots had not been used for a long time and were rusty. There were spider webs inside, but there were no spiders. Baiya looked inside the burrows. There were some black clumps of dust. Due to the passage of time, the dust had hardened. Gu Lingqing removed the dust from the 6 pots in a sealed bag and wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the bag. Baiya looked at him. He explained to Baiya, "When we get back, I'll get the forensics department to check if these ashes are from the same period, and what period they were from." Baiya smiled. "Can you tell what period it is? If it could be tested, would antique ashes be worth anything?" Gu Lingqing smiled as well. He felt that although Baya looked cold, the blood in her bones was warm. I didn't expect you to be such a money grubber. Just ask me how much money you want, Gu Lingqing said dotingly. Baya's heart raced as she lowered her head. He looked at her beautiful figure, lowered his head, and kissed her on the lips. Baya stepped back reflexively. Others will see it. Gu Lingqing held her waist and looked at her deeply. So what? Su Shaoling, Song Shiyu, and Gu Tianhang flashed through Baya's mind. She felt a faint pain in her pinky finger. Don't be so overbearing. Baya couldn't control her tone. It sounded like she was complaining and disdainful at the same time. Gu Lingqing looked at her with a burning gaze. The two of them were in a stalemate. She pushed him away, but he didn't move. Footsteps sounded outside the door. Gu Lingqing let go of her and took a step back. Little Wang ran to the kitchen. Detective Bai, Mr. Lang wants you to go over. Baya thought that Lang Qiuzuan had found something. She followed little Wang out and went to the first room next to the staircase. Someone used to stay in this room before, Lang Qiuzuan deduced. Baya looked around the room and walked to the window. The window was closed, but there were Boston ivy on the window, so she couldn't see outside. How did you know? Lang Qiuzuan locked Baya and said leisurely, Intuition. Baya was speechless. She resisted the urge to roll her eyes and walked out of the room. She looked at the ground and an idea flashed in her mind. Gu Lingqing walked up the stairs at a leisurely pace. Every step he took was heavier than usual. Mr. Gu. What did you call me? Gu Lingqing was not satisfied with this form of address. Baya was in a difficult position. He was like a newborn calf who was not afraid of tigers. He didn't know what happened between them in the past. She didn't dare to expose their dark relationship. She might as well ignore the way he addressed her. Maybe someone used to live here. There's no dust on the ground. It doesn't seem logical. This is a remote area. No cars pass by here. The house is sealed and protected by a layer of Boston ivy. Naturally, there won't be much dust coming in. Your judgment is not accurate. Lang Qiuzuan walked out and refuted. But this place has been here for a long time. It will fall off naturally. Look at the ceiling. Baya pointed at the high ceiling on the third floor. The lights fell down vertically. Perhaps because the ceiling was too high, it was pitch black above and they couldn't see clearly. Baya turned on the flashlight on her phone and shone it at the ceiling. Gu Lingqing, help me. The words, Gu Lingqing, naturally slipped out of her mouth without any warning. Gu Lingqing looked at his subordinate with satisfaction and gestured to him. His subordinate took out a military flashlight from his backpack. It had a long range and was especially bright. It shone towards the ceiling. The ceiling looked like it was made of wood. It was triangular and not painted. Baya frowned and flipped through the photos. She looked at the castle, then looked around and looked at the photos of the castle again. She pointed at the top of the castle and asked Gu Lingqing, What do you think this triangular top is made of? Green brick. What's wrong? Gu Lingqing asked, puzzled. In other words, there's wood under the green brick. If the green brick leaks, the wood will mold, right? Look at the wood. Is it wood? Or fake wood? Baya looked at the ceiling suspiciously. Usually, lime powder, cement, or asphalt are used under the green brick to make it waterproof, Gu Lingqing said. He took the photos from Baya's hands and compared them with the built-in ones. His eyes narrowed. If Baya hadn't reminded him, he wouldn't have noticed the problem. Now he knew where the breakthrough was. Baya, I've always suspected that there was a basement in this place. When the 3 teenagers came in, they were probably tied up there. One of them escaped, but the other 2 couldn't be found. Now I think I know where the secret room is, Gu Lingqing said. Baya pointed at the ceiling. The secret room is not below, but on the roof. Gu Lingqing nodded. The people who came to check were deceived by their habitual thinking and eyes. There should be somewhere that leads to the roof. Lang Qiuzuan listened to their judgment and took the photos from Gu Lingqing's hands. He could see it now. Knock on the ceilings of all the rooms on the 2nd floor. When you hear empty sounds, use weapons to pry them open. That won't work. I think I know where the entrance is, Gu Lingqing said and led the way. Lang Qiuzuan looked at Gu Lingqing's back and narrowed his eyes. He was very unhappy. Gu Lingqing walked to the room at the end and let his phone take the escalator. He went up and pushed open the door at the end. Baya was very surprised. How did you know that the entrance is here? I studied architecture in space. I compared the exterior with the interior and used the logic of the structure, Gu Lingqing said simply. Is Mr. Gu in charge of building buildings in the military? Leng Qiuzuan asked sarcastically. Chapter 173. Baya. Don't come up, Gu Lingqing said solemnly. He scanned the situation inside and his eyes became sharper and sharper. Baya was puzzled. What's wrong? What's up there? I told you not to go up, so don't go up. You talk too much nonsense. Leng Qiuzuan pushed Baya away and went up the escalator. He had a lot of experience in solving cases, and when he saw the scene inside, his face was also very ugly. Little Wang followed him up the escalator. Not long after, he quickly came down the escalator and supported himself against the wall to have sex. Baya wanted to go up, but two of Gu Lingqing's men stopped Baya. Sir told you not to go up. I'm not afraid, Baya said and was about to go up. Leng Qiuzuan came down from the escalator and called the police. Gu Lingqing also jumped down from above. What's the situation? Baya asked Gu Lingqing. I took a quick look just now. There should be 6 bodies on it, Gu Lingqing explained. 6? Shouldn't there be 2 of them? I'll go up and take a look. Gu Lingqing held Baya's arm. We've found the body. Let's use DNA to determine who it is and see if we can find out the time of death. Let's go back to the hotel and reorganize the case. Are you worried that I can't see the body? Don't worry. When I was abroad, I came into contact with dissection. I won't be afraid. Baya wanted to go up and take a look. I advise you not to go up. Leng Qiuzuan warned after the call ended. I want to go up. I used to be a doctor. What kind of blood haven't I seen? Baya insisted. Gu Lingqing looked at Baya. She was not only cold, arrogant, but also stubborn. I'll go with you. Gu Lingqing took the military flashlight from his subordinate, adjusted the shape of the speed of light, and placed it in the middle of the secret room. The secret room was suddenly brightly lit. Baya prepared himself mentally and climbed up the escalator. There was some distance between the escalator and the entrance. Gu Lingqing reaches out to her. For a moment, Baya recalled the past. That was how he held out his hand to her. This time, she wanted to go alone. She didn't hold Gu Lingqing's hand and climbed up by herself. Gu Lingqing's face was a little pale. She saw that there were many glass jars in the secret room. Looking from near the exit, the largest glass tank was as tall as a person. There was a yellowish-brown liquid inside, as well as a naked man and woman. Baya looked at the woman's face. Gu Lingqing, that woman is the one in the video. Gu Lingqing recognized it at first glance. He was worried that Baya would be afraid, so he hugged Baya's waist and said softly, I will always be by your side. She was not afraid. She had seen this many times in the laboratory. She had seen much bloodier scenes in the United States. However, she didn't pull Gu Lingqing's hand away. She looked at the people in the glass tanks and analyzed. The woman had injuries on her body, neck, and limbs. Her private parts had been injected with something like a foaming agent. She was tortured to death and placed in a glass jar. If we're lucky, we might still be able to find it in her body. If we are lucky, we might find male DNA in her body. The man's face is bruised and swollen. His eyes are wide open, and his abdomen is bulging. He was thrown into the glass tank when he was alive. She looked at the 2 glass tanks next to her. They were the dismembered bodies of a man and a woman. In the last terrarium was a woman and a newborn baby. The murderer is very cruel, Baya judged. Let's go down. In a while, the police will come over to take photos. We can study the details of the photos, Gu Lingqing said. Baya nodded. Did you notice? This secret room looks very clean. This should be the scene of the crime. The forensics department will find more clues and evidence here. By the way, Gu Lingqing, I remember that the ceiling is triangular, but this place is indeed flat. Could there be a compartment? Baya guessed. You and I have the same thought. I also guessed that there is a compartment. We'll let the police handle it later. Gu Lingqing went down the escalator first. Baya climbed down carefully. Before she reached the ground, Gu Lingqing carried her and placed her on the ground. He actually carried her in front of so many eyes. Baya's heart raced, but she quickly calmed down. Lang Qiuzuan looked at Baya's calm expression. You're not afraid? Are you still a woman? Weren't you afraid when you scared her on purpose? Gu Lingqing retorted. Why are you always protecting her? Lang Qiuzuan was displeased. I think it's the same reason why you keep picking on her. Gu Lingqing threw the question at him casually. Lang Qiuzuan was speechless. He crossed his arms and looked at the Patek Philippe watch on his wrist. He said to Gu Lingqing coldly, It's already 2:20 in the morning. It will take about an hour for the police to arrive. There's important evidence here, and it needs to be guarded by my team. Do you want to come down, or do you want your team to stay? Gu Lingqing looked at Lang Qiuzuan deeply. My team can stay. Mr. Lang can go back and rest. Then I'll leave this place to you. Baya, let's go. Lang Qiuzuan turned around and walked down the stairs. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing, nodded, and followed behind Lang Qiuzuan. Gu Lingqing held her arm and said in a low voice, Send me the name and room number of the hotel when you check in. Baya. Why did she have a feeling that he would find her in the middle of the night? I'll go first. She did not answer him directly. She had a feeling that if this went on, their affair would be exposed. She did not dare to expose it. Moreover, she did not know whether Gu Lingqing cared about her because she was useful for him to recover his memory or for other reasons. She was really afraid of falling in the same place again. Baya went out of the castle and got into the car. The four of them sat in the same car. Baya and Lang Qiuzuan sat in the back. She was about to close her eyes and rest when Lang Qiuzuan suddenly turned around and put his hand next to her, enveloping her in his arms. Baya was shocked and pressed against his chest. What are you doing? Lang Qiuzuan narrowed his eyes. Are you very attractive? Baya guessed that he was talking about Gu Lingqing, and her face blushed slightly. She did not want her relationship with Gu Lingqing to be exposed. Lang Qiuzuan was too observant. I've been married, divorced, and even had a child. I have no confidence in love, and I don't want to be in a relationship. No matter how many women there are, they are all rotten ones to me. Then you should regulate your behavior. Don't be like a butterfly, showing off everywhere. Lang Qiuzuan returned to his seat and frowned again. He looked at Baya. You've really had a child before. Yeah. Baya did not deny it. She's an old woman. Lang Qiuzuan muttered to himself. Baya. She checked into the hotel, took a shower, and saw Gu Lingqing sitting on the sofa in her room. Baya. Chapter 174. Why are you here? Baya asked in surprise, rubbing her wet hair with a towel. Gu Lingqing got up, took the towel from her hand and dried her hair for her. He said in a deep voice, I asked you to send me a message. Did you ignore my words? Baya could tell that he was unhappy. She had never thought of sending him a message. She wanted to have a good rest tonight. But he was already here. If she said that she didn't want to send him a message, wouldn't she die faster? I was going to send it to you after I took a shower. I smell bad. Baya found an excuse and glanced at the washroom. Do you want to take a shower too? Gu Lingqing threw the towel on the chair and looked at her. Baya pursed her lips and didn't say anything. The more she said, the more mistakes she would make. I'll believe you. Gu Lingqing walked towards the washroom. Baya watched him walk into the washroom. She invited him to take a shower just to be polite. She didn't expect Gu Lingqing to really take a shower here. He wouldn't be sleeping here tonight, would he? If Lang Qiuzuan saw it, her high-sounding words yesterday would be a slap in the face. She walked to the washroom and asked, Are you staying in this hotel too? Is your luggage here? Gu Lingqing opened the washroom door. Baya was shocked and looked into his deep eyes. What's wrong? I'm staying here tonight. My luggage is in the car. My soldiers will bring it to me later. What else do you want to ask? Gu Lingqing said generously. Well, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to stay here? It won't be good if someone finds out. After all, you have a fiancé. Baya tried to persuade him. Gu Lingqing looked down at her and her face was reflected in his eyes. I've been engaged to Su Xiaoling for more than 3 years. Do you think I'll marry her? Baya was stunned for a moment and looked at Gu Lingqing. He didn't let her see clearly as he closed the bathroom door. Baya stood firmly at the door and lowered his eyes. There was a sour and bitter feeling in his heart that flowed in his blood. The valve of memory was also opened. She used to think that Gu Lingqing loved her. Even though she knew that he raped her 6 years ago and hurt her, she could still choose to forgive him. After he lost his memory, he said, "Hailon, I miss you so much." All her persistence, perseverance, hard work, and self-righteous love collapsed. The person Gu Lingqing loved the most was not her, but Zhou Hailon. That kind of heart-wrenching pain was even deeper than Su Jieran's, so much so that she lost the courage to continue living. Gu Lingqing was an unfathomable person. Even though she had studied psychology for 3 years, she still could not enter his heart. That feeling of loneliness in life and in death would never come back again. She used to love him. Even if he didn't love her back, she still hoped that he would have a good life in the future. Baya carried her luggage and walked out of the room. She asked the front desk for a new room and locked the door. Gu Lingqing came out of the room and saw that Baya was no longer there. He called her. "Where are you?" Gu Lingqing asked in a low voice. "Opposite your room. I'm already asleep." "Good night, Chief," Baya said coldly and hung up. She took out a pill from her bag, took one, and fell asleep as soon as she laid down. She slept for a long time. When Baya woke up, she looked at her phone. It was already 9:30 and she had a few calls. They were from Lang Qiuzuan, Gu Lingqing, and an unknown number. She went into the bathroom and brushed her teeth. After washing up, she picked up her phone and walked to the window. She opened the curtains and looked outside. Today's weather was pretty good. The sun shone brightly and warmed the body. She called the unknown number. "Hello, who is it? What's up? Are you Baya?" A woman's voice was filled with disbelief. It didn't feel friendly. "Who are you?" Baya couldn't figure out who the person was. Xiongdani said. Baya knew who it was. It was Su Jieran's mother. "Mrs. Xiong, what's up?" Baya asked calmly. "You're the Mrs. Xiong," Xiongdani said bluntly. Baya smiled. "Could it be Miss Xiong?" "Please call me Madam," Xiongdani ordered in a sinister tone. Baya nodded nonchalantly. "What's up?" "I called the psychology department. I heard that you're in charge of my brother's case. Angie's case was also solved by you. Aren't you an obstetrician? How did you become a psychologist?" Xiongdani asked curiously. Time can change a lot of things. Professions, environments, relationships. This won't affect my work. Your brother's case is being handled by a team. It should be solved soon. Don't worry. If there's nothing else, I'll be going to work now, Baya said in a businesslike manner. "Have you met Jieran?" Xiongdani asked tentatively. "Based on our current relationship, it's better not to meet him. What do you think, Mrs. Xiong?" Baya asked. "I hope you know that I don't like you." Xiongdani was straightforward. "Same here." Xiongdani was speechless. Baya hung up. It was uncomfortable to receive such a call early in the morning. She kept her phone and placed it in her bag. She went to the front desk. "Do you still have breakfast?" "Yes, the restaurant on the 2nd floor. Until 10 a.m., the receptionist said with a smile. "Thank you." Baya walked into the restaurant and saw Gu Lingqing right away. He saw her too. He looked at her coldly. He didn't look away and stared at her as if he was going to interrogate her. Baya looked away. She scooped some egg-fried rice, 2 pieces of bacon, a piece of ham, and some cabbage. She saw that Gu Lingqing was still looking at her. If she didn't sit with him, he would probably flip out. She walked over nonchalantly and greeted him in a businesslike manner. "Hello." Gu Lingqing nodded and looked across. "Sit." Baya put down the plate. "I'll get some milk and fruits." "N." Gu Lingqing responded, which could be considered as consent. Baya took some watermelon and tomatoes and a glass of milk. Just as she sat down, she heard Gu Lingqing ask, "Why didn't you pick up the phone?" Well, I was asleep. I didn't hear it, Baya explained. She lowered her head and ate the egg-fried rice. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything either. He seemed to have finished eating but didn't want to leave. She ate with fear and trepidation. Hey, you guys are quite early. Leng Qiuzuan's voice rang out. Baya thought that she woke up quite late. She didn't expect Leng Qiuzuan to wake up even later than her. Leng Qiuzuan sat down beside Gu Lingqing. He looked at Baya and asked, "Why didn't you pick up my call yesterday?" "I was asleep. I didn't hear it," Baya explained hurriedly. "You told me that you had a child yesterday. How old is the child now?" Leng Qiuzuan asked immediately. Chapter 175. She told Leng Qiuzuan that she had given birth to a child, hoping that Leng Qiuzuan would stop pestering her. She didn't expect Leng Qiuzuan to ask about this in front of Gu Lingqing. It seemed like he did it on purpose. Gu Lingqing looked at her. His eyes were dark and unfathomable, like a bottomless pit. She was speechless. Leng Qiuzuan smiled. "You're not lying to me, are you?" Baya bit the watermelon and looked at Leng Qiuzuan. She was thinking about how to answer him so that Gu Lingqing wouldn't suspect her, but at the same time, he wouldn't stare at her. However, the more nervous she was, the more she couldn't think of an answer. "Is Mr. Leng free?" Baya avoided the question. "I just want to know why you pretend to be a woman in front of me and a girl in front of another man. What's the meaning of this?" Leng Qiuzuan asked sarcastically. "I think Mr. Leng likes me, so I don't want to give you a chance. I found something that you can't accept," Baya said directly. "What?" Leng Qiuzuan was shocked. He denied it immediately. "I like you? How can I like a hypocritical and pretentious woman like you? You're too imaginative." "Did I misunderstand? You've been targeting me since we met." Baya looked at him suspiciously. "I'm targeting you because I don't like you. If I can be mistaken for liking you, how many people would I like?" Leng Qiuzuan said sarcastically. "Really?" Baya sounded suspicious on purpose. "If I don't like someone, I'll definitely stay far away from them. I won't keep showing my existence. Besides, there aren't many people that Mr. Leng likes." Baya raised her eyebrows and smiled provocatively. "Don't smile," Gu Lingqing suddenly ordered. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing with a dumbfounded look on her face. "His smile is really ugly, isn't it? That, imitating others but making a fool of themselves, that's what Detective Baya's talking about, right?" Leng Qiuzuan spoke up for Gu Lingqing. "Take your time. I'm full." Baya picked up her bag and stood up. Gu Lingqing noticed that she hadn't eaten anything. His eyes darkened and he glanced at Leng Qiuzuan. Leng Qiuzuan was sizing up Gu Lingqing. "You like her? What does it have to do with you? At 10:30, ask everyone to gather in your room." Gu Lingqing stood up. "Why do we have to gather in my room instead of yours?" Leng Qiuzuan stood up and disagreed. "Then let's gather in the hotel's conference room," Gu Lingqing said and left without giving Leng Qiuzuan any chance to refuse. Leng Qiuzuan furrowed his eyebrows and was very displeased. This Mr. Gu is really arrogant. He saw that Baya didn't eat much at all and was too lazy to help himself, so he ate Baya's leftover food. At 10:30, Baya received the notice to gather in the conference room. She was the first to arrive and sat on her seat. Gu Lingqing walked in and placed a plastic bag in front of her. Baya looked at the plastic bag in surprise. It was the bread and cake he bought. He didn't say anything but sat opposite her and looked at her deeply. He didn't say anything, but it seemed like he said a lot. Baya was really not full. He took out a piece of bread and took a big bite. Besides the bread, he also bought a box of yogurt. Gu Lingqing was still as meticulous as before. After a while, everyone came in. Leng Qiuzuan was the last one. He saw that Baya was eating the bread, so he sat next to her and said with disdain, "You girls are really pretentious. There's a buffet breakfast, but you still want to eat bread?" Baya didn't pay attention to him. "Well, we gathered everyone here to analyze the case," said Gu Lingqing's subordinate, Mr. Cheng. "The forensics department sent the information to you?" Leng Qiuzuan said unhappily. "Yes." Mr. Cheng didn't deny it. Leng Qiuzuan smiled. That's quite a high official. He was talking about Gu Lingqing, so everyone heard it. Baiya really thought it was a miracle that someone like Lang Qiuzuan hadn't been killed by his enemies. Continue, Gu Lingqing ordered. Mr. Chung continued. The cause of death of the first female corpse was strangled with a steel wire or something. Because the key parts were blocked with a foaming agent, we found the DNA of Xiong Jinping, Xiong Jiqing, Xiong Chang'an, and Zhang Hai. She went through chakra before she died. Who is Zhang Hai? Lang Qiuzuan interrupted. One of the missing teenagers. The boy who drowned in the first glass jar, Mr. Chung explained. Lang Qiuzuan nodded, indicating that he understood. Whose child is the baby? According to the DNA comparison, the baby and Xiong Jinping are direct parent-child. He died from a fall. The baby's mother was in the same glass jar as the baby, Mr. Ching said. There was a secret compartment in the secret room. What did you find in the secret compartment? Lang Qiuzuan asked immediately. In the secret compartment, we found the 3 female victims' IDs, luggage, and the diary belonging to Wang Xiahe. Wang Xiahe was the first victim in the glass jar. According to the diary, the 3 women came out to work, but they were tricked by Xiong Jinping to come here, and they were treated inhumanely. The people outside said that they could hear a woman's voice, so it should be from them. The other 2 men were the missing teenagers. According to the growth of the bones, they should have died when they were 18, which is the year they went missing. The killers are Xiong Jinping, Xiong Jiqing, and Xiong Chang'an. How long have they been missing? Lang Qiuzuan asked. 25 years, Mr. Ching answered. Oh my God, could it be a vengeful spirit? Assistant Lang guessed. After that, she felt a chill down her spine, and her face paled. If it was a vengeful spirit, they would have died 25 years ago. They wouldn't be alive now, Baiya said. The killer should be related to the first female corpse, Wang Xiahe. Lang Qiuzuan said and looked at Baiya. They have all logged into adult websites and watched a video together. The woman in the video looks very similar to Wang Xiahe. Mr. Lang, you've watched it? Assistant Lang asked innocently. Lang Qiuzuan was speechless. Baiya smiled. Assistant Lang's question was too good. I'm doing it to solve a case, Lang Qiuzuan explained to Baiya, his face blushing. Oh, Baiya answered, dragging the last syllable with a deeper meaning. Lang Qiuzuan's face turned even redder. He put his hand on the chair behind Baiya. Why would I lie to you? Besides, don't men look normal? Don't you? Baiya felt that he was getting too close, and the question was too intimate. Don't look away. Lang Qiuzuan leaned closer to Baiya and took a deep breath. You've seen it too, haven't you? That's why you're not surprised that I'm telling you this. Baiya was speechless. Gu Lingqing watched their interaction coldly. His face was pale. He watched it with me. Chapter 176. She had the urge to kill herself with a piece of tofu. The more she wanted to hide her relationship with Gu Lingqing, the more she was afraid that it would be discovered. She could not bear the consequences of being discovered. She wanted to ask for help, but she did not know who to turn to. Assistant Lang was surprised. Detective Bai, when you were on the train, you were with Mr. Gu the whole time. Baiya lowered her head and did not say a word. Yes, I was with her. Gu Lingqing answered on behalf of Baiya. Don't tell me you're in a relationship? Assistant Lang seemed to have discovered a new continent. Gu Lingqing kept quiet. Baiya could not stand the pressure. She needed a rebound and explained, No, I'm not in a relationship with Mr. Gu. My good friend is a doctor in the military, so I know Mr. Gu. Gu Lingqing looked at Baiya coldly. His deep eyes were unfathomable, and his tightly pursed lips showed his displeasure. So it's not. Let's talk about the case in detail. Lang Qiuzuan went back to the main topic. I've taken a look at the video. Although it's not clear when this video was taken, it's impossible for it to be done with technology from 25 years ago. That's true. We've found out the identity of this person based on facial recognition. Her name is Wang Donner, 35 years old this year. She's from Cauliflower Village, Ping Town. She used to have an older sister who went out to work 25 years ago and disappeared. This older sister is the first female queen of the dead, Xia He. These two sisters grew up without parents and have a very good relationship. These two sisters look very similar. Wang Donner even had plastic surgery to look like Xia He, Mr. Ching said. So this Wang Donner is the murderer? How did she kill the bear? Assistant Lung asked curiously. The problem is, she was filming when the bear died. Many people can testify. Mr. Chung furrowed his eyebrows. This Wang Donner must be the murderer. She has an accomplice, so she can create an alibi. Let's capture her and see, Lang Chuzuan said. I have another question that I find very strange. Didn't we not find any connection between the victims? From the looks of it, their relationship was very good 25 years ago, Assistant Lang said. 25 years ago, computers were not yet common. At that time, people communicated through letters, and they signed their letters with pen names. We focus on the internet, cell phones, but we forget that there is a primitive form of communication, letters. These people are all in Cydia now, and they should still be in contact with each other, using a secret method like letters, Baya analyzed. Gu Lingqing said to Mr. Cheng, go to the military and check if Xiong Chang'an and Xiong Jiqing are communicating through letters. Also, the three murderers 25 years ago, Xiong Jinping, Xiong Jiqing, and Xiong Chang'an, all have the surname Xiong. Could their acquaintance be related to their surnames? You can ask Xiong Jinping's sister, Xiong Dani, Baya suggested. We can arrest Wang Donner. Let's talk to her first, Lang Chuzuan said. He stood up and walked forward. Baya stood up as well. She had a call. She saw that Gu Lingqing kept staring at her. His gaze was too aggressive, so she picked up the call without looking at who it was to relieve her guilt. Baya, Dani said you're back. Song Shiyu's voice came from the phone. Baya was stunned. She walked out of the meeting room quickly and answered, okay. She walked towards the sky garden. Don't see Lingqing. You know you can't afford to offend him. Song Shiyu went straight to the point. I've seen him, Baya said in a low voice. She looked at the air coldly. He doesn't remember you. He has forgotten what happened between you two. If you want to live well and want him to live better, you should forget him too, Song Shiyu said sincerely. Baya heard the warning in Song Shiyu's words. She thought of the past and how they hurt each other hysterically. Her heart sank to the bottom of a frozen lake. Her blood was completely cold. Her eyes also darkened. I have a friend called Lu Shuang. She is now a doctor in the special military. I need her to be 100% safe. If she isn't safe, I don't know what I will do. Can you guarantee her safety? Baya negotiated. Don't worry. As long as you let Lingqing go, I can promise you, Song Shiyu promised. Give me some time, Baya said and closed her eyes. Her heart was heavy, as if it was pressed by 1,000 pounds of water. It was sour and bitter, very sad. She and Gu Lingqing had to part ways before they could even meet again. This was fate. She opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, desperate, and cold. She turned around. Gu Lingqing was standing behind her. She was shocked. She didn't know when he came over, how long he stood there, and what he heard. She lowered her eyes guiltily. Gu Lingqing walked in front of her and looked down at her. His eyes were as sharp as X-rays. He ordered, "Raise your head." Baya took a deep breath. She raised her eyes and looked at him. His handsome face was reflected in her clear eyes. "You have been avoiding me on purpose since the early morning." Gu Lingqing said a statement. She was avoiding him on purpose. She didn't want their relationship to be exposed. Once their relationship was exposed, Song Shiyu would come to her and put pressure on her. Now their relationship had not been exposed, but Song Shiyu had come to her. It meant that Song Shiyu really cared about her. "What do you think our relationship is?" Baya asked directly. "You are the only woman I have slept with. What do you think our relationship is?" Gu Lingqing said coldly, staring at her with his sharp eyes. "But you have a fiancé. Your fiancé's father is the deputy director of the Discipline Inspection Department. He is very powerful and has power over the government. If Su Zheng finds out that something happened between me and his son-in-law, how do you think he will deal with me?" Baya asked rationally. "With me here, I won't let them hurt you," Gu Lingqing promised. Baya's eyes turned a little red, and tears filled her eyes. In the past, Gu Lingqing also said the same to her. So, even if she had to die, she still wanted to be with him. But, she gave up everything, and what she got was betrayal. In his heart, Zhou Hailon was the one, not her. He would never know her heartache and despair at that time. Tell me this when you are sure about your feelings for me. Otherwise, your behavior is no different from that of a scumbag, Baiya said bluntly. Passing by him, Gu Lingqing held her wrist and squinted at her. His eyes were deep. He pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Chapter 177. Gu Lingqing squinted his eyes. He saw a sense of resentment in her eyes. This resentment was pitiful, contemptuous, and self-deprecating. You hate me? Gu Lingqing deduced. Baiya didn't deny it. Hate because of love. What you can't get will always be restless. Red Rose is a nice song, Baiya said meaningfully. She pushed his hand away and walked out. Gu Lingqing furrowed his brows and looked at her back in a secretive manner. They were fine on the train yesterday. Why did she seem to be a different person today? Cold, unkind, and unapproachable aura, which made him feel very uncomfortable. However, there was something he needed to deal with. Gu Lingqing made a call. Su Xiaoling answered. She couldn't believe that Gu Lingqing, who never called her, would call her. Lingqing. Su Xiaoling, I won't marry you. You won't have any freedom as my fiancé, Gu Lingqing said. Su Xiaoling wasn't calm. What do you mean by that? Although I turned a blind eye to the things you did, it doesn't mean that I don't know. Keeping a gigolo and playing with gigolos. Once these actions are exposed, it won't be good for the Su family. After all, your father is the vice president and the presidential candidate, Gu Lingqing reminded her. Su Xiaoling clenched her fist. Are you threatening me? I'm just informing you that we've been engaged for more than 3 years. If we could develop feelings, we would have gotten married a long time ago. It's best if you call off the engagement. That's it, I still have something to do here. Gu Lingqing was about to hang up. Gu Lingqing, do you know what you've done wrong? Su Xiaoling said fiercely. I'll take responsibility for my actions, Gu Lingqing said resolutely. You're so self-righteous and headstrong. Let me tell you, do you think that you love Zhou Hailon? Actually, no, you love another woman. Su Xiaoling roared irrationally. She wished that the words she said were like a sharp blade, stabbing Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing was silent. He held the phone and did not hang up. You must be very curious right now. Who do you love? Every day, when I see you thinking about Zhou Hailon, I think that it's a good thing that there's a girl who's hurt even worse than me. She almost lost her life for you. I feel like you're an idiot, and it's especially satisfying. Su Xiaoling gritted her teeth and said. Gu Lingqing's cold eyes narrowed and became bloodshot. What do you mean? Be more specific. I won't tell you. I will make you miss Zhou Hailon and hurt the woman you love the most. Do you know how pitiful that woman is? Committing suicide for you, I think she will never forgive you for the rest of her life. And I will never forgive you. Su Xiaoling hung up the phone. Gu Lingqing thought of Baiya's wrist. He turned around and walked quickly to Baiya's room. Baiya was packing her luggage. When she heard the knock on the door, she walked to the door and saw Gu Lingqing through the peephole. She opened the door. Gu Lingqing held her hand and looked at the scar on her wrist. His eyes darkened. He was now sure that the woman Su Xiaoling said he loved was Baiya. Gu Lingqing's eyes flashed with pity. I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Baiya was angry before. She didn't like being forced. When he held her wrist, she wanted to throw his hand away in a fit of rage. But when she heard this belated apology, all her emotions were frozen. In her heart, there were raging waves, beating against all her memories. She felt wronged, sad and very, very wronged. She had waited for this apology for a very, very long time. She waited for innocence and waited for despair. But what was the use of apologizing? She had forgotten. She had forgotten. Baiya controlled her emotions. Let go of me. You're hurting me. Gu Lingqing didn't let go. He just loosened his grip a little. He looked at her with a burning gaze. We didn't break up at all, right? It's just because I lost my memory that we lost all contact, right? Baya knew that she couldn't hide it anymore. He was very smart. He had sharp observations that ordinary people didn't have. She was also tired. She didn't want to play hide and seek with him anymore. Yes. That one word was crisp and clear. Gu Lingqing's grip on her wrist tightened. He connected all the details and deduced. The reason why my parents didn't let me know about the past was because they objected to us being together. They kidnapped you and used you to threaten me to marry Su Shaoling. Your finger was cut off by them? Yes. Yes, Baya said, looking straight at him. We didn't break up because of their objection. Because of some reason, you and I were both investigating the massacre of Tangqian village. Were I with you before the accident? Gu Lingqing asked again. The cruel memories were like an onion, peeling off the layers by him. She could still vividly remember the explosions when he went on a mission. The Gu Lingqing she loved and the Gu Lingqing who loved him had died in that explosion. If it wasn't for his memory loss later, she wouldn't have known that Gu Lingqing loved Zhou Hailan. He was only responsible for her. Tears, she couldn't hold back, flowed down her eyes. She really hoped that she would die in that explosion. At least, she wouldn't have to face the cruelty after that. At least, she would have died with Gu Lingqing with faith. She wouldn't have felt lonely like she did later. Gu Lingqing saw her crying. His heart tightened. He wiped away her wet tears with his thumb and promised, I will be responsible for you. Responsible? Responsible. Responsible. Baya stopped crying. She stared at Gu Lingqing and her eyes gradually became determined. She hated the word responsible. He got close to her, deceived her feelings, and won her heart because he wanted to be responsible. What she used was complete love. Why did she only get responsibility? She didn't want this responsibility. No need. When I woke up in the hospital and decided to cross the sea, I had already decided not to love you anymore. Baya, who loved you, died because of the ignorance and stupidity of the past. Now, I have been reborn. If you really want to be responsible for me, then let me go and stay away from my life. In the future, we will never see each other again, Baya said coldly. Gu Lingqing frowned. He couldn't see through her at all. Is this really the result you want? This is the result I want, Baya said clearly. No entanglement, no nostalgia, no memories, no wandering. We should all look forward. Gu Lingqing looked at her smile, and his heart seemed to be stabbed by a sharp knife. Chapter 178. As proud and arrogant as he was, he let go of Baya's wrist, turned around and disappeared from her sight. Baya closed the door. The world was peaceful. She got what she wanted. However, what was the reason for the overwhelming sense of loss, sadness, and regret in her heart? Baya didn't go for lunch. She simply didn't want to go. She didn't want to see Gu Lingqing to avoid being embarrassed. She made a bowl of noodles and ate a few mouthfuls. The noodles were too hard and her stomach felt uncomfortable. She wanted to go out and buy some fruits. She opened the door and saw Leng Qiuzuan outside. He looked like he was about to knock on the door. What's wrong? Baya asked. They caught Wang Donner and brought her witnesses back. One is her partner, and the other is the cameraman. I suspect that their testimonies were matched. They both said that they were filming when the crime happened, Leng Qiuzuan said seriously. Where is the footage? Baya asked. I'll send it to your computer. Go to the station to interrogate Wang Donner at 2 in the afternoon. Take a look and see if there's any weak point that can break through Wang Donner's psychological defense. Have you seen it? Baya asked directly. Leng Qiuzuan's face was strangely red. Yes. Is it before or after the editing? After the editing. Send me a copy of the edited footage and send it to my email. I'll go out to buy some fruits and come back to watch it. I'll go to the station with you at 2 in the afternoon, Baya said straightforwardly. Okay. What fruits do you want to buy? I'll get someone to buy them for you, Leng Qiuzuan said with twinkling eyes. There's a fruit stall not far from here. I'll go there myself. Baya rejected his kindness. Leng Qiuzuan felt even more uncomfortable. Then help me buy some apples and pears. Mangosteen would be best. I like to eat mangosteen. Baya. Lang Chozuan said and wanted to leave. Baya did not argue with him. The case was about to be solved. How many more days could they spend together? Just muddle along. She went to the fruit stand and bought apples, pears, mangosteens, oranges, and bananas for a total of 96 yuan. When she rummaged through her purse, she took out a 100 yuan bill. Baya looked up and saw Gu Lingqing. She was slightly surprised. You're here to buy fruits too? Gu Lingqing didn't even look at her in the eye and said in a low voice, I originally wanted to buy some for you, but I just happened to meet you here. Have you had lunch? I don't have much appetite. I don't feel like eating, Baya said. Gu Lingqing took all the fruits and looked at Baya. He was too strong. Standing in front of her, he was like an iron wall. Baya felt uneasy. Some of them belonged to Lang Chozuan. Gu Lingqing ignored her and walked towards the door. Baya followed behind him. Gu Lingqing strode towards the elevator. He didn't say anything. She didn't want to talk to him either. She walked to the deepest part of the elevator. Baya, Gu Lingqing shouted. Baya looked at him. Her eyes met his deep gaze. She didn't know what he wanted to say. There are some things that you want to watch with me, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. There are some things that you're talking about. Don't tell me it's a video taken by Wang Donner? Baya guessed. It's impossible to find any problems with those finished products. I want the ones that haven't been edited. Focus on the bystanders, Gu Lingqing reminded him. He had the same thought as her. However, she didn't really want to watch it with him when she thought about what happened when they watched it together. Lang Chozuan has already emailed me the ones that haven't been edited, Baya looked down and said. Let's go to your room then, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya. Her original intention was to reject him in a roundabout way. She didn't expect him to climb up the ladder. I want to watch it alone, Baya said straightforwardly. Gu Lingqing's face darkened. He stared at her unhappily and said in an irrefutable tone, You have the right to make a request. However, it's rejected. I'm not your subordinate. I don't need to apply to you. Rejected. Gu Lingqing emphasized. Baya frowned and was annoyed. I think I've already made it very clear to you. What did you make clear? Gu Lingqing asked. Baya saw that he seemed to have forgotten everything. Well, I don't love you anymore. There was a ding. The elevator door opened. Gu Lingqing strode out of the elevator. Baya jogged behind him. If it's not necessary, I don't think we can continue to be in a relationship. Gu Lingqing pursed his lips. He took the room card to open his door and placed the fruits on the dining table. Baya stood at the door and glanced at the fruits. She didn't know whether to enter or not. Gu Lingqing pulled his tie and unbuttoned his neck. He looked back at her and frowned. You don't dare to come in? Or are you afraid that I'm a poisonous snake or a beast that will eat you? Baya was a little dazed. Gu Lingqing had said this to her before. The truth was that he was even more terrifying than a poisonous snake or a beast. She passed by his room and didn't want to go in. Gu Lingqing had no choice but to rush out. He held her hand and pulled her into the room. He slammed the door. Baya pulled her hand out and turned to walk towards the door. Gu Lingqing strode forward and pushed the door, trapping her between the door and him. Do you have to make me angry? Gu Lingqing said unhappily. Now you're the one who made me angry. Baya said even more unhappily. How did I make you angry? Gu Lingqing asked in return. Baya was speechless. I wanted to leave, but you didn't let me. I wanted to watch it alone, but you insisted on watching it with me. Isn't this making me angry? I didn't let you leave and insisted on watching it with you. Don't you know why? Gu Lingqing retorted confidently. Baya's heart trembled. She looked into his deep eyes. He put his arm around her waist and pulled her to his side. Their bodies were pressed together. Baya's back stiffened. She pushed his shoulder. There are many women you want to find. Don't look for me. I don't want to. There are many women, but I don't like many women. I like to talk about love first, then do a. Gu Lingqing turned around and pressed Baya down on his bed. When you had sex with me for the first time, were you in love? Baya was furious. His body was too hot. It was so hot that it was about to melt her. She didn't like to be infatuated with him anymore. Gu Lingqing looked at her deeply. When he saw her 3 years ago, he had a special feeling. When he saw her on the plane, it was as if he had found the person he had always been looking for. He wouldn't have sex with anyone casually. If he had to count, she was the only one. I think he must have never forgotten you. That's why he made me dream of you, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya could tell that he was talking about the Gu Lingqing in the past. The Gu Lingqing that she loved. Chapter 179. You've forgotten everything. You don't know anything. You think you haven't forgotten, but it's just your speculation, Baya frowned and said. Her voice was choked with sobs. Gu Lingqing looked at him deeply. Her tearful face was reflected in his dark eyes. He didn't know what happened between them in the past, and he didn't know why she rejected him so much and firmly believed that he didn't like her. But he knew how he felt now. He felt heartache when he saw her crying. The pain was very real. She said she wanted to give up on him, and he felt heartache too. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed the tears on her face. It was salty and bitter. He said domineeringly, "Then I'll know that I won't let you go before I recover my memory." You're wasting our time. Baya pushed him. Gu Lingqing held her hand. You don't have a boyfriend anyway, right? Although she said that, she knew that she was afraid that she would fall again. Knock. 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 There was a knock on the door. Baya looked at the door defensively. What's the matter? Gu Lingqing asked. It's me, Xiao Wang. Mr. Lung wants to see you. He has something to discuss, Xiao Wang said. Hurry up, or else Lung Qiuzuan will be here soon, Baya reminded him. Gu Lingqing let go of Baya, stood up, and opened the video file on the computer. He looked at her and said, I'll be back soon. You watch it first. Okay, Baya answered. Gu Lingqing went out. She watched him leave. It wasn't appropriate for her to stay in his house, so she picked up the fruits and walked to her room. Lung Qiuzuan's room. The case is about to be solved. Did you ask the higher-ups to order us not to interfere? Lung Qiuzuan said bluntly. This case involves too many people, so we'll take over. Lung Qiuzuan can rest early. Isn't that good? Gu Lingqing said indifferently. Every profession has its own specialization. Mr. Gu, don't you think you're overstepping your authority? Just because the murderer and the victim are both from the military, you can treat human lives like grass. I think we should give the victim's family an explanation, Lung Qiuzuan said fiercely. Gu Lingqing smiled and sat down on the sofa. Mr. Lung, what do you mean by explanation? Let the families of the deceased know how their children died. Lung Qiuzuan said coldly. You know how he died? Then, they would seek revenge on the murderer. The problem was, the murderer had already been killed. For the parents of the deceased, where was the revenge? Their child had been dead for 25 years. Now their hair was white, and the pain of the past had been erased with time by another child. Perhaps because they did not know the situation of their own child, they still had hope in their hearts, hoping that their child could live a good life. Cruel. Reality doesn't help them at all, Gu Lingqing said calmly. So, you just want to drown out the truth? Lung Qiuzuan didn't agree. The truth has already been found out. There's no such thing as drowning out the truth. We just need to choose a better way to express it. For example, we can make up for it with money or career. This is just because you want to protect the reputation of the military. Don't make it sound so nice. Mr. Gu is just a hypocritical and cunning villain, Lung Qiuzuan said fiercely. 25 years ago, these 3 people hadn't joined the military yet. I just want to know, after they joined the military, they didn't do anything bad. I'm not wrong to protect the honor of the military. If the military is not trusted, and the boss has a rebellious attitude, do you think it's helpful to maintain peace? Is it? Besides, once this kind of news spreads abroad, do you think it's helpful to our country? Maybe I don't do things openly, and in the eyes of others, I'm a cunning villain. However, in front of the honor and interests of our country, my personal sacrifice is nothing. Mr. Lung, if there's nothing else, I have to go back to work on the case. Gu Lingqing stood up. You're so dignified. Does Baya know about it? Do you think she'll agree with what you're doing? Lang Qiuzuan said coldly. I don't need other people to agree with what I do, Gu Lingqing said arrogantly. He opened the door and went back to his room. Baya was gone. He made a call to Baya. Baya was eating an apple in her room, browsing through the information before the video was cut. She picked up her phone and glanced at it. It was Gu Lingqing's call. She didn't want to answer it, so she put the phone on silent mode and put it beside her. Tick, tick, tick. The door was opened. Gu Lingqing walked in. Baya. Where did he get the room card? Ha, ha. Why didn't you answer the phone? Gu Lingqing said. He closed the door and walked towards her. The phone was right beside her. How could she say she didn't hear it? I saw a key content, so I didn't answer it, Baya explained. She bit her apple and looked at the computer. What key content? Tell me. Gu Lingqing sat beside her quietly. He didn't say a word about why she left his room. Baya definitely wouldn't bring it up. Look, there are quite a lot of people here. I suggest we interrogate them one by one. As long as one of them isn't mentally strong, he can break through immediately, Baya suggested. Okay, Gu Lingqing answered. He didn't say anything else. Baya could only continue watching. She had watched such videos before. Lu Shuang always dragged her to watch them together. One of the videos left a deep impression on her. It was a man who made a woman come 4 or 5 times in 5 minutes. She thought it was amazing. Because the woman's thing was especially obvious when it came. She looked at the videos before they cut and realized that they were all cut. After the woman did it for the first time, she would let him rest for a while before continuing. However, the rest in the middle was all removed. No wonder. So it was all fake. However, no matter how fake it was, it still made people blush. Moreover, there was Gu Lingqing sitting beside her. She felt his gaze on her. She turned her head and looked at Gu Lingqing. He was indeed looking at her. She didn't know how long he had been looking at her. Why are you looking at me? Watch the video, Gu Lingqing reminded her. Baya. If you don't look at me, how do you know I'm looking at you? Baya replied. I've already seen the problem. I don't know if you've seen it or not, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. If you've seen it, why didn't you say anything? Baya was speechless. You're a professional. I just want to see what your ability is. My specialty is psychological research. I'm not watching videos. Baya closed the computer. Since you've seen it, tell me, Chief Gu. Chapter 180. Baya watched as he collapsed on her bed. It wouldn't be good if someone saw this. Go back to your place and sleep. Gu Lingqing ignored her and didn't even open his eyes. Baya couldn't do anything to him. Seeing him sleeping peacefully, she thought he was quiet. When she was about to turn on the computer to continue her research, Lang Qiuzuan's voice came from outside the door. Open the door. Baya furrowed her brows. If Lang Qiuzuan saw Gu Lingqing, she wouldn't be able to clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Gu Lingqing, get up and hide for a while. Gu Lingqing lay on the bed and didn't respond. Gu Lingqing. Baya pushed him forcefully. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pulled it into his arms. He turned over and pressed her under his body, kissing her lips. Baya, I know you're inside. Hurry up and open the door. I have something to talk to you about, Baya. Lang Qiuzuan knocked on the door more and more hurriedly. Baya looked at the door worriedly. She was anxious, but her lips were blocked by him and she couldn't make a sound. She was afraid that Lang Qiuzuan would do the same and ask the room attendant to open the door. If that happened, she would be finished. She looked at Gu Lingqing with a pleading look. He finally let go of her and met her resentful eyes. Ignore him. You've been recruited. Gu Lingqing, can you stop fooling around? Lang Qiuzuan is my team leader and also my direct leader. You're making things difficult for me. This case has been taken over by the military. I've talked to the central government, and now I'm in charge, Gu Lingqing explained. He let go of her and sat up. Does this mean that I can get off work and go home? Baya also sat up. You're not from the police station. It was the police station who went to the Psychology Research Institute to ask for help. Similarly, the military can also go to the Psychology Research Institute to ask for help. Therefore your direct leader is no longer Lang Chozuan, but me, Gu Lingqing said patiently and walked towards the door. Baya understood and hurriedly went forward to hug Gu Lingqing. Don't open the door. Hide. I'll open it. Why should I hide? Baya, what are you afraid of? Besides, Su Xiaoling and I have already broken off our engagement. I am single now. Gu Lingqing looked down at her and said. Baya looked at him in a daze. You broke off the engagement with Su Xiaoling? 3 years ago, my memory of her was that of a younger sister. I really can't accept a younger sister becoming a fiancée. Therefore, I don't even have a younger sister relationship with her now, Gu Lingqing explained and observed the changes in Baya's expression. Su Zheng agreed. Baya didn't believe it. He has no choice but to agree. Su Xiaoling has been hanging around some female clubs in recent years and has had sex with more than 5 male prostitutes. If this scandal is exposed, Su Zheng's presidential election will definitely be ruined. Not to mention the presidency, even the position of vice president will be in danger. Now that Su Xiaoling has brought it up, the Su family won't object, Gu Lingqing said with certainty. You know about Su Xiaoling's matter? Baya was too shocked. She had even hinted to him before. It turned out that he knew it better than anyone else. It doesn't matter about her. I also know about what you've done abroad for the past 3 years, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice and looked at her with a burning gaze. Baya had to admit that it stirred up quite a lot of waves in her heart. Gu Lingqing had been paying attention to her for the past 3 years. Although she was shocked, she had to deal with Lang Chozuan first. Why don't you hide first? I don't want people to gossip about me, Baya said with a pleading tone. Who dares to gossip about you? Gu Lingqing said conceitedly. Baya was angry. Are you going to hide or not? He stared at her, cleared his throat, and silently went to the bathroom. Baya looked at his back. She didn't even realize that the corner of her mouth was slightly raised. When she opened the door, she happened to hear Lang Chozuan saying to the room attendant, Please open the door. This is my friend's room. I called for her for a long time, but she didn't open the door. I suspect something happened to her. Baya opened the door and blocked the door with her body. Mr. Lang, what can I do for you? Why don't you open the door? Why is your face so red? Lang Chozuan looked at her face suspiciously. Baya's eyes flickered. She was too guilty. She lowered her head and said, I'm looking at that. I found something strange. I'll tell you about it later. No need. I'm here to tell you that we don't need to follow this case anymore. Mr. Gu is in charge of it. I know, but you don't need to follow it. I'm originally from the Psychology Research Institute. Now I'm working with Mr. Gu, Baya explained. Aren't you curious why the military intervened? Lang Chozuan frowned. He didn't like Baya's casual attitude. Xiong Jiqing and Xiong Chang'an are both from the special military. Although these things happened before they joined the military, it may cause a bad impact because of the outside world speculation and people with ulterior motives. So, the military will strictly block the news when they take over. Don't you think it's wrong? Lang Chozuan said impatiently. I remember in my middle school politics class that the national honor is above the collective interest is above the individual interest, and the national interest is above everything else. All actions that harm the national interest are hostile actions. The military is doing the right thing. Oh right. I almost forgot. Mr. Lang, I studied abroad. Baya smiled. Her last sentence was filled with provocation. To me, the truth is above everything else, Lang Chozuan said with a pale face. I understand you. Mr. Lang is a very individualistic person. However, we all live in a group. If you are capable and use it well, you will win glory. If you are capable but not used it well, you will have a big side effect. Mr. Lang is a very capable person. I hope there will be a chance in the future. I hope I can solve the case with you in the future. Baya closed the door. Lang Chozuan leaned against the door and looked at her. I hope I can solve the case with me in the future. Is it true or not? It's very efficient to solve the case with Mr. Lang. The collective interest is above the individual interest. I mean it, Baya said with a smile. She closed the door slowly and turned around. Gu Lingqing was standing behind her silently. Baya was shocked after she realized what had happened. If Leng Qiuzuan wanted to come in and she let Leng Qiuzuan in, Gu Lingqing would be exposed. Annoyed, she slapped him on the shoulder. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pressed her against the door in a strong and turbulent manner. Baya, I can't satisfy you yet. Is that why you are in the mood to flirt with men? Who's flirting with men? Baya said in a low voice. She was afraid that Lang Qiuzuan was still at the door and could hear their conversation. You should reject Lang Qiuzuan directly. I don't want you to have a chance to work together. He has ambitions for you. If you want to flirt, you should flirt with me, Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Chapter 181. Baya pushed Gu Lingqing away. Who's flirting with you? Then I'll flirt with you, Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Baya's heart was beating very fast as she looked at him. He was very serious and cold. Even if it was a sweet talk, he was still very serious. She felt that she must have heard wrongly and wanted to leave his arms. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. He did not give her any chance to reject him. It was forceful and fierce. His hot breath was right beside her ear. She could not think at all. She wanted to push him away, but she did not have the strength. His kiss made it harder and harder for her to breathe. She leaned her head back and he pressed the back of her head. Baya could only breathe with all her might. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pressed it on his abdomen. She could feel his explosive strength through his pants. She wanted to pull her hand out, but he did not allow her to. She was angry and held it tightly. Gu Lingqing groaned and let go of her lips. He looked at her with a burning gaze. Xiaoya, it's too tight. Baya's heart skipped a beat. She pulled her hand out. Her palm felt like it was burned by a cigarette and it was rubbing against her clothes. I can't breathe. Can't you breathe when you kiss now? You're really stupid, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. It seemed like he was reprimanding her, but his tone was filled with love. She walked towards the table. Gu Lingqing did not want to let her go just like that. He held her arm. Baya said helplessly, I haven't seen anything wrong with the recording. I have to go to the police station at 2. At 6:10 p.m., there are two people chatting. From the movement of their lips, I can tell that they are going to watch the premiere of Sea of Beauties tonight. This is a movie from last year, Gu Lingqing reminded. You already saw it. Why didn't you tell me? Baya rushed to the computer and opened it. There were really two people talking. Are you sure they're talking about this? There's no sound. I can't be wrong if I read his lips, Gu Lingqing said affirmatively. Therefore, the alibi they provided is fake. They are the murderers. I want to break through the witness. Baya already had an idea. Gu Lingqing sat down next to her and looked at her deeply. I don't think you should spend your time on the case, but on me. What do you think? Baya stood up anxiously. You've already done it yesterday. You used to be a doctor. You should know that men only need to rest for 10 minutes before they can start again, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. You don't have to do that, Baya said softly. I want it, he said confidently and domineeringly. I still have to work in the afternoon, Baya refused. Fine. Gu Lingqing stood up and looked at him. Forget it if you don't want to. But actually, many men will be possessed by a second brain. Although I won't be affected, I will still be affected. I hope you won't do anything indecent while you're working. Baya held his arm. You won't, right? Gu Lingqing smiled. What do you think? Baya shook his hand off in annoyance. You're not flirting. You're coercing me. Gu Lingqing hugged her waist and pulled her to his side. He lowered his voice. Xiaoya, I want you. Baya pursed her lips and looked at him. Can I refuse? No, Gu Lingqing said without thinking. But he didn't make a move. He seemed to be waiting for her to agree. Baya looked at the time on the bottom right corner of the computer. It was 1:20. She was already 27.5 years old. She had passed the age where she liked to dream and fantasize. She started to understand that when a man wanted to have sex with a woman, sex was not necessarily love. Sometimes it was a kind of conquest. Sometimes it was a proof. Sometimes it was a physical need. Gu Lingqing had sex with her yesterday. It was unlikely that he had a physical need. Did he want to conquer, or did he want to prove? Or, because of love? She didn't dare to think about the last possibility. She was afraid to think about it. She was afraid to sink into it. She was afraid that she would never be able to make a comeback. She would just treat it as a chance encounter between a mature man and woman. Hurry up. Baiya agreed. The corners of Gu Lingqing's mouth turned up slightly. He kissed her lips more passionately and pressed her down on the bed. He kissed her neck, earlobe, collarbone and down. Baiya, your reaction is very good. You like it, don't you? Gu Lingqing asked in a hoarse voice. Who wouldn't like it when you do it like this? Baiya asked in return. I like it too, Gu Lingqing said with a smile. Baiya's heart skipped a few beats. He held her ankle and pressed it down on her face. Baiya could clearly feel that he wanted her. She breathed softly and her face was burning red. His gaze was too hot. She turned her face away in embarrassment. He moved her face so that she was facing him. I used to like it too, right? Lu Shuang said that I often came to look for you and forced him to go out and play mahjong. Baiya didn't expect that Lu Shuang would tell him this. She found it hard to say it. He wanted her to say it, so he was grinding on her. It made her uncomfortable. She frowned and said, Hurry up. Hurry up what? Didn't you say that you don't want it before? He was very interested. He liked how anxious she was. It made him feel that he was needed too. When she said that she wanted him to let her go, he felt very uncomfortable in his heart. He didn't want to be dispensable to her. Gu Lingqing, Baiya said angrily. Her voice was sweet and especially pleasant to the ears. If she could say it out loud, she probably wouldn't be Baiya. Got it. He couldn't help but say it. Both of them let out soft sounds of comfort. Gu Lingqing's heart skipped a beat. He kissed her slightly opened lips and supported her head with his elbows on the bed. After all, he was a soldier. His physique, strength and speed were super good. Baiya couldn't take it anymore. Her voice was drowned in his mouth. She got excited too. She hugged his waist. Unknown things were running everywhere. Her mind was blank. She slowly stepped on the clouds and floated down. She regained her senses. She focused her eyes and saw Gu Lingqing looking at her. She didn't know how long he looked at her. She was very shy. Her eyes were shining. Why are you looking at me? There's only the two of us here. I don't want to look at you. I want to look at myself. Gu Lingqing replied. You should come down now. It's almost 2 a.m. I still want to take a shower, Baiya said with a red face. Gu Lingqing didn't move. I think it's good to be with you like this for the rest of my life. I'm not interested in other women anyway. Baiya didn't understand what he meant by that. Marry her? Or was he using flowery words to confuse her? Do you feel uncomfortable? Gu Lingqing asked her in a serious manner. Baiya really didn't want to talk about this topic later. She said perfunctorily, I'm all right. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.